What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
5RJ. Chapter 101. Click. At the moment when he saw Ye Chen succeed, Charlotte Linlin killed him quickly. Almost a moment. She had already rushed in front of Ye Chen, slashing with the huge blade. Although she didn't have any skills, the sword energy erupted by the terrifying power had already made countless people feel terrified. An astonishing slash fell, almost sweeping everything, splitting the sea and heading towards Ye Chen. Click. Ye Chen's eyes were calm, the Ryūjin Jakka in his hand waved, and the dazzling sword aura burst out. The two collide. The deafening roar sounded all around, almost exploding here. The wind swept through, almost blowing everyone up. Kill. The appearance of Charlotte Linlin seemed to give everyone confidence, although a few people died tragically in an instant. But it does not mean that they have no chance. Several large pirates who are famous in New World, with special skills, stepped on the void and came towards the back of Ye Chen. The sharp blade flickered, if no one could stop it. In the case of Ye Chen dealing with Charlotte Linlin, they can almost succeed. And just now, behind Ye Chen, I don't know when, an extra figure appeared, wearing white clothes, his face was pale, and his green eyes were a touch of weirdness. As soon as he appeared, everyone's face changed slightly. When did you come here? They didn't notice it, and their observation Haki was not even warned. Who is this guy, and how did he get there? Seeing Ulquiorra appear, Garp is a little confused, he has been watching the battlefield around him. But no matter how Ulquiorra passed, Garp found nothing. Seems to appear out of thin air. And, who is this guy? He didn't seem to have seen it before, or even heard it. He should be Ye Chen's partner. Aokiji hesitated and said, I haven't seen this guy, but he came to share the pressure on Ye Chen. It is probably Ye Chen's companion, but I don't know how strong he is. It shouldn't be too bad. Garp looked at the scene above and said in a deep voice, the strength of the people here will not be able to find out, and the people who attacked Ye Chen in New World are second only to Ye Chen in New World, although they are not as good as you. But it shouldn't be much worse, and he is coming over now to block these people, obviously because he is confident of his own strength, otherwise, it should be Galio appearing. Single quote. Galio did not appear. Instead, a stranger came out to share the pressure on Ye Chen, which was beyond their expectations. The information they got, Ye Chen and Galio are both in this place. The person who really wants to share the pressure should be Galio. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Court death. Seeing Ulquiorra suddenly appear, everyone sneered. One person also wants to block them. It's a bit too whimsical. Ulquiorra ignored them, and a dark green light appeared on the tip of his finger. Sero. The dark green light group instantly turned into a beam of light and shot out, bursting into the void, rushing out with huge power. Danger. At the moment when Sero rushed out, everyone's observation Haki gave a crazy warning. This light brought a fatal threat to them, if they don't avoid it, they will undoubtedly die. At that moment, several figures gritted their teeth and quickly moved their bodies to avoid Sero's range. It's just that one person reacted slowly, the dark green light penetrated his body, and then exploded directly, and the whole body exploded directly. Then, after Sero shot through the person's body, the tendency continued unabated, and shot towards the distance, directly piercing through several pirate ships to the edge of the sky. After a moment of silence, the entire sea surface exploded directly, and the sea surface was divided into a black gully, and it was almost impossible to see the scene below. Seeing this scene, everyone inhaled air conditioning, their expressions were shocked. Looking at Ulquiorra incredulously, this move has such power. The other side, after Ye Chen and Charlotte Linlin separated, a word came out, Ulquiorra, kill them, don't let these flies disturb my fight. Single quote. Yes, Lord Ye Chen. Ulquiorra said respectfully. Then, looking at the rest of the people, as if looking at a group of dead people, indifferent and ruthless, Master Ye Chen has no time to deal with you flies, then leave it to me. Your time is up. The voice fell off. Ulquiorra's body disappeared instantly. Next moment, appearing behind a pirate, his arm was used directly out of his body, gently crushing his heart. Immediately disappeared. Next moment, it was behind a figure again. The technique is repeated. Same as before. The ending has not changed much. The heart is crushed, and you can't die. The emergence of Ulquiorra. Like a Shinigami, madly harvesting the lives of everyone below. In front of these top powerhouses from all over the world, in front of Ulquiorra, it seems like a group of helpless children. This is a massacre. Massacre without any pressure. Ulquiorra's powerful strength made everyone feel desperate. They are all called the wind and rain in their respective seas, but in front of Ulquiorra, they are just weak animals. Backquote: the power of the Sea Emperor is definitely the power of the Sea Emperor. A pirate said in horror. This level of combat power is absolutely correct. It is the level of Sea Emperor. No wonder Ye Chen is not afraid of us. It turns out that they have 2 Sea Emperor level of combat power. This time, everyone almost understood why Ye Chen is not afraid of these people. Logically speaking, with their combat power, to get Zhao Hao plus Charlotte Linlin's combat power, it is enough to destroy Ye Chen and the others. Even Ye Chen would be very jealous. But who knows, Ye Chen is not afraid at all, and does not put them in his eyes at all. They felt weird at first, that Ye Chen was too arrogant. Original. All this is Ye Chen's calculation, because they have confidence. 1 Admiral level combat power, and 2 Sea Emperor level combat power. Although there are only 3 people, they are not as good as them. But it was enough to destroy them. The main thing is, Ulquiorra was different from the other Sea Emperors, as if he had mastered teleportation. No one can detect his trace. Often as soon as he shows up, he will take away a person. Although they gathered together and joined forces, they might not be able to compete with him, but it was on the sea and it was difficult to gather together. And Ulquiorra would not give him this condition. Double. Chapter 102. Pouch. Every time Ulquiorra appeared, a top powerhouse fell, and blood was spilled on the spot. These powerful men from various sea areas, in front of Ulquiorra, are like helpless children, unable to resist at all. A few seconds. 6 top powerhouses have already fallen. The patriarch of the Noel family in the West Sea is dead, and the captain of the Storm Pirates of New World is also dead. These people are all top powerhouses, and they didn't even stop him for a second. Why is this guy so terrible? Why did he never know before he came out from there? On a boat, Blackbeard's face was extremely heavy, he didn't laugh as much as before, and his eyes were full of jealousy. Those who can come over to snatch Pluto are not simple characters, they are the top powerhouses in the various seas of the world. They may not be as good as the Sea Emperor or Marine Admiral, but their strength is only second to them. In all areas of the sea, there are existences that call the wind and call the rain. Hundreds of people can die in a single thought. This kind of existence, no matter where it is placed, is the existence at the top. However, this is the existence, being slaughtered frantically by Ulquiorra. Battle power at the level of the Emperor of the Sea. This is definitely the battle power of the Sea Emperor level. Captain, shall we continue? Asked a pale pirate next to Blackbeard. After seeing Ulquiorra's crazy massacre, the strength that almost surpassed the sea has made them feel terrified. Although their character can be regarded as fearless and fearless. But, Ulquiorra's slaughter has made them all afraid. This level of powerhouse is definitely not what they can resist. Really want to fight. They will only die. Go. Blackbeard said decisively. If Marine takes a shot, we might be able to do it, but Marine is still watching the show. It is estimated that we also want to consume Ye Chen's physical strength through us, and plan to do it last. Marine intends to treat us as cannon fodder, we can't stay any longer, we must leave here immediately. Although Pluto is powerful, it is not something we can have. Originally, he wanted to fish in troubled waters when everyone was fighting. There are not a few people who have his idea. But in this situation, there is no chance for them to fish in troubled waters. On the Black Raven pirates, a Ulquiorra can slaughter them, in addition to Galio, an existence comparable to Marine Admiral's combat power is waiting for them inside Hades. What do they use to fish in troubled waters? Not to mention. Marine is still waiting. Although Marine does not make a move now, who can guarantee that he will not make a move later? Blackbeard can guarantee that as long as one of them gains control of Pluto. That's when Marine takes the shot. Garp plus Aokiji. The strength of this pair is not weak. Although Blackbeard is confident of his own strength, he thinks of facing Garp and Aokiji. I'm scared when I think about it. After seeing Ulquiorra's hands, Blackbeard retreated for the first time, extremely decisive, which made many people look at him. This guy ran away so quickly. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Marine saw it too. Garp dug his nostrils and said faintly, this guy who ran the road first knows himself and knows that this place is not something they can participate in. Single quote. It's a pity. Originally, I planned to let the guys like Ye Chen slaughter these guys more to reduce our pressure. Now that some people run away, it is estimated that some people will follow. There are a lot of pirates gathered here, from various sea areas. There are new worlds, and there are cosmopolitan ones. There is also the first half of the Grand Line. They are all top powerhouses in their own seas. Because of their strength, these people put a lot of pressure on Marine. Many times Marine wants to deal with these guys. But because of some things, I can't do it. Now Ulquiorra is slaughtering these guys, just to reduce the pressure on them, why not do it? Not to mention, even if they intervene in it, they won't get any benefits, but put them in danger. It's better to wait for Ulquiorra to clear these people, the physical exertion is about the same, they are intervening in it. And Garp believes that even if they watch the show, Ye Chen won't say anything if they don't do it. After all, the pressure they face is still not small. As one of the Sea Emperors, Charlotte Linlin is not so easy to solve. What's more, this place has gathered so many top combat powers, Ulquiorra can kill if no one stops him. But if you let Garp in, it would be very troublesome. Ulquiorra may not be able to deal with these people. To this, both sides know that not disturbing each other is the most beneficial. So they are silent, waiting for the development in front of them. Waiting for the opportunity to shoot. Seeing that Blackbeard's ship escaped. Ace glanced at the surrounding battlefield, and finally drove his small boat to catch up. He is not stupid. This place is not something he can participate in, and it seems more important to hunt down Blackbeard than Pluto. Blackbeard's departure. It still has a big impact. Many people are also moved by it. Captain, let's go. The battle power of the two Sea Emperors. We will die if we wait. You can see the strength of Ulquiorra. Killing those top combat power is just like killing a dog. Go. This place can't stay any longer. You cowards, even if he is a Sea Emperor, how powerful is it? If we all join hands, we may not be able to kill him. Fart, you have a chance to kill him together, but even if you can kill him, most of us will die here. Who knows if the dead will be us? Although Pluto is precious, our lives are even more precious. If you want to die, then go. I won't be with you anymore. Go. The departure of Blackbeard, the massacre of Ulquiorra. Immediately, the surrounding forces had different opinions, and half of the people planned to leave. This ghost place is no longer for them. Two Sea Emperors. They fight with the head. Although Ye Chen has Charlotte Linlin dragging, but Ulquiorra can't solve it. Besides, Marine was still watching. If you continue to fight, you will lose at most both. And even if they win, they don't have much combat power. Once Marine is going to compete, they will not be able to compete with Marine. If you stay and ask, you will die. Although Pluto makes them eager, but there is no life, even if they get Pluto, what is the use? Everyone is an old fox, and their hearts are clear. They knew after seeing Ulquiorra appear. They are no longer qualified to fight for Pluto. Right now, only Marine and Charlotte Linlin can compete for Pluto. This is still under the circumstances that the two parties may join forces. Almost for a moment, many top forces have started to run away. They don't want to stay in this place anymore. Want to go. Seeing that many people were going to leave, Ye Chen repelled Charlotte Linlin and sneered, "Have you ever asked us?" Single quote. Robin do it, fire the Hades cannon. The words fall. In a short while, Pluto, who had been quietly parked on the pier, began to activate, and the huge gun barrel moved towards the surrounding pirate boats. The black-painted gun barrel is extremely large, almost the size of an ordinary pirate ship. No one knows how powerful this cannonball is. But there is one thing they know. That is extremely powerful. Bang! A deafening sound rang out, the smell of gunpowder permeated, and a huge cannonball shot out from the barrel. Headed towards the pirate ship ahead. Boom! The shells exploded and the entire sea was overturned. A huge pit was exploded on the sea, and the pirate ship there was directly blasted to pieces, leaving only some wreckage. Chapter 103. Boom boom boom. The deafening sound sounded, and the entire sea seemed to be overturned, and the earth moved and the mountains shook violently. The pirate in the center of the shell was directly torn apart, and many pirates had been sent to the west by the shell before they could not react. The wind swept through, the stormy waves spread. At the center of the explosion, a violent storm was generated, like a hurricane, spreading in all directions with extremely terrifying power, almost overturning many ships. Simultaneously, although some ships do not have the scope of explosion, they also have a big impact. The sea water spreads on the ships. Almost overturned the entire ship. On the marine side, although the stability of the warship is definitely stronger than these pirate ships. But the influence of the Pluto cannon was too terrifying. The violent explosion sound almost blasted a lot of Marines' ears, the eardrums burst, and the ears shed a lot of blood. They are still far away. If you get closer, you might be swallowed up by cannonballs. Become a wreck on the sea. I used to think that Pluto could smash an island with a single shot, which was an exaggeration. Aokiji looked solemn, standing beside Garp, and said in a deep voice, "I don't think it's an exaggeration now. If this kind of shell hits a small island, it will be 100% destroyed." Single quote. Senior Garp, you can't get this thing for Ye Chen, otherwise it will have a big impact. Although it is just a cannonball power, Aokiji already understands the seriousness of the matter. Originally, the Black Crow pirate group was already incredibly powerful. 2 Sea Emperors, 2 Admiral-level combat power. If you are adding a warship of this level, the Black Crow pirates will become the most terrifying pirates in history, even the Rocks Pirate of the Year may not be comparable. And the stronger the Black Crow pirates group, the harder they can handle. Saw the wreck of the Shanghai pirate ship on the sea. A top force from New World felt chills and said in the direction of Ye Chen, "Ye Chen, you must kill them all. We are all going, you must kill us. If you really do that, don't blame us for teaming up. If we team up, even if you don't feel well, let alone Marine is still watching." A cannonball fell. Several top forces were destroyed. This power has scared them. They don't know how many shells Pluto has in storage. If there is only one, then it is good to say, if there are dozens, then they will be over. Mad, really crazy, do you really want to keep us all here? The pirate was terrified. They are already planning to quit, Ye Chen even rushed to kill. Isn't Ye Chen really afraid of them joining forces? To know, their departure is a good thing for Ye Chen. If only they joined forces. For Ye Chen, it is a bad thing. Because of this, Ye Chen's combat power is insufficient. Afraid now, Ye Chen sneered. "I told you before, if you want to take Pluto, you must be ready to die." Single quote. I parked Pluto there. Could it be that you thought it was just for you to see? Whether it's Charlotte Linlin or Marine, I wanted to keep you from the beginning, and everyone in the room can't leave. Don't stop, do it. Leave all these guys here. Following Ye Chen's order, it was issued. Pluto moved up, this time not one barrel, but all 10 barrels moved. Looking at 10 huge black barrels. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Both Charlotte Linlin and Garp showed fear. This guy is really crazy. Do you really want to keep us? Ye Chen, the old man is just watching the show. Garp said to Ye Chen. You don't have to face us. Single quote. He really watched the show. I really don't plan to do it. Despite these words, Garp himself didn't believe it. But he didn't want to do it now. Old man Garp, would you believe these things yourself? Ye Chen sneered. Garp was silent. Of course I would not believe it. Those who can come here are not to take Pluto. Why don't you come? Watching a show. How is it possible? They are not so idle. At this time, in the captain's room of Hades, Princess Vivi looked at Robin in a low voice and said, Sister Robin, are we really going to do it? If these people are really forced to join forces, it doesn't seem to be of any benefit to us. Although their combat power is very strong now. But everyone on the other side really teamed up, they may not be able to fight. Do it, why not do it? Robin smiled slightly and said with a smile. The captain's orders are everything, and the captain is not a reckless person. He must have his own calculations. It is estimated that these people are within the range of his ability to work together, and you did not look at the captain. Are you nervous with Ulquiorra? Their faces are very calm, which means that they have absolute self-confidence against these people in front of them. Single quote. Between words, Robin adjusted the position and pressed the button below. Almost at the same time, 10 barrels were activated, accompanied by earth-shaking, deafening sound. 10 huge and extremely falling cannonballs burst out. At that moment, everyone was silent, swearing in my heart. Ye Chen is really a lunatic, this guy is really not afraid of us joining forces. Is this crazy? 0 find flowers 0. 10 shells were aimed at everyone around. Regardless of those pirate ships, or ants pirate ships, or marine warships, they are all aimed at. What a lunatic. Seeing the shells came, the marine on the warship was scared to death and shivered. They had just seen the power of shells. They were so powerful, if they were hit, it is estimated that the entire marine warship would become ashes. Naturally the same is true for them on the boat. It's really troublesome. Aokiji walked out slowly, a biting chill burst out all over his body. Why can't you take it slowly? He was speechless. He thought Ye Chen would let these people go, and then they were fighting in a decisive battle. Who knows? Ye Chen actually planned to leave everyone here. It's crazy. Even Kaido, who is known as impulsive, would not dare to do this kind of behavior. The main force left here is too strong. If they are forced to join forces, it will be a big trouble. No one wants to face such a big trouble. Kaido is so. The same is true for Whitebeard. Although the Sea Emperor is powerful, it has not reached the level of invincibility, not to mention there are 2 Sea Emperors here. If it is really urgent, it is not impossible for Marine and the Emperor of the Sea. Garp did it that year. As long as there is a common goal, everything is fine. Ice wall. Aokiji stood on the guardrail, a terrible chill erupted from his body. Almost instantly, on the panel of the marine warship, a towering ice wall appeared in front of everyone. The ice wall was very wide, and the thickness reached a distance of hundreds of meters, in order to stop the shells of Hades. Aokiji didn't dare to relax. This thing is too powerful, if you relax, it is them who suffer. Although he will not die, but the marines on the ship are not necessarily. Kata Curry. Seeing the shells coming, Charlotte Linlin originally planned to take action, but was stopped by Ye Chen. In desperation, she could only call her own son. Compared to Aokiji's approach, Kata Curry seemed a little more relaxed. In front of the ship, a tall wall of glutinous rice appeared. The shells were bombarded and directly bounced off. And on the other side, people from other forces are in trouble. They are not as simple as Aokiji. However, some people stopped the cannonball, and several top swordsmen acted at the same time, and the sharp sword energy cut the entire cannonball away. But most of the forces were pale, because they couldn't stop them. They could only watch the shells fall down, or dive into the bottom of the sea, hoping to avoid the attacks of shells. Boom. The cannonballs fell one after another, and the power of terror erupted instantly. The entire sea surface exploded directly, revealing an amazing mushroom cloud. Force. Chapter 104. The violent winds and the horrible explosions created a very powerful storm, forming a series of tornadoes, spreading in all directions, almost destroying the entire surface of the sea. Simultaneously, a wave that was hundreds of meters high was rolled up on the sea and spread in all directions, almost swallowing the town of Banner next to it. Countless sea water tilted down, covering the entire town of Banner, turning the town that was originally on land into a sea world. Facing the terrifying waves, Aokiji's ability exploded, freezing the surrounding sea. The ant pirate group, with the ants' power to split the waves, and the people of the other forces are not so lucky. The sea tilted down and swallowed them instantly. The power of the Pluto shells is infinite. 10 shells almost changed the situation in front of the battle. Most of the many forces have been destroyed, and there are not many people left, only 3 or 4 powerful people who join forces are left. It's just that they haven't had time to be happy. Ulquiorra appeared behind them, and the dark green sorrow runs through their bodies. They were wiped out instantly. After a long time. A brief calm was restored around. What a crazy guy. I want to destroy those guys. Seeing that there were only 3 forces left, Aokiji said in a deep voice, but Ye Chen, they actually did it. The power of Pluto is too powerful. If this kind of warship is used in naval battles, there is basically no solution. With just 10 shells, so many powerhouses were dismantled. The power of Pluto can be seen in Madara. It is no wonder that it is hailed as one of the 3 ancient weapons. Warships of this level, no matter how terrifying they are in their hands, can bring huge changes to the world. And now, Pluto is in the hands of Ye Chen, the emerging Sea Emperor. In his hands, the effect of Pluto is estimated to be even more terrifying. Only, Aokiji really didn't expect that Ye Chen planned to punish those forces, and it succeeded. I really think so. Aokiji is even more afraid of Pluto. Because these forces can be destroyed, most of them are due to the power of Pluto. If it wasn't for Pluto, it's really not solved so quickly. Bang! Aokiji fell from the ice wall and landed beside Garp, whispering, "Senior Garp, now we are left with the 3 forces. Should we snatch it?" Single quote. If it's just our side, it will definitely not be able to beat Ye Chen's side, unless we join forces with Charlotte Linlin. If the top powerhouses of Marine are there, Aokiji is not very scared. But now there are only 2 of them. There is really no chance of winning against Ye Chen. Don't say anything else. Ye Chen has 2 Sea Emperors, as well as nuclear weapons like Pluto. They really fought. They have no chance of winning at all. Unless they join forces with Charlotte Linlin, this is still possible. Charlotte Linlin is also a Sea Emperor, plus Katakuri, an Admiral powerhouse. If they join forces, the performance of combat power will be higher than that of Ye Chen. Ye Chen has 2 Sea Emperor level combat power, and 1 Admiral level. And they joined forces. Then there are 2 Sea Emperors, 2 of the Admiral level. 1 more Admiral level combat power. Obviously they have an advantage. Pluto must not be released to Ye Chen. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Garp said in a deep voice. You have also seen the power of this thing. If Ye Chen is allowed to hold it, it is estimated that he will be the strongest among the 5 emperors, and may even reach the level of Locks back then. Single quote. You also know the hazards of Locks back then. Heard these words. Aokiji rubbed his temples and said, I feel that Rocks is even more dangerous. Although Rock's pirate was extremely powerful back then, there was chaos inside. As long as you kill Rock's pirate, they will disintegrate, but the current Black Crow pirates, the unity is incomparable, and there is Pluto. The influence they bring is not comparable to Locks. With the existence of Pluto, Ye Chen has enough strength to rule the entire New World. I am afraid that there will be no 5 emperors in New World in the future, but only Ye Chen. The Emperor of the Sea. Moreover, Ye Chen's strength is unfathomable. I always feel that this guy has never used his full strength. It is not easy to kill him. Garp was silent and looked at Ye Chen in the sky with deep eyes. He also knows the dangers of Ye Chen and the power of Ye Chen. Just because he knew, he didn't want to give Pluto to Ye Chen. Because Ye Chen has Pluto, it will bring too much influence to this world. And these, not what Garp wants to see. I would not come if I knew it, let the guy Sengoku come. Garp has a headache. The situation is not optimistic now, although Aokiji asked them to join forces with Charlotte Linlin. But this possibility is very low. The pirate and marine are in conflict. Compared to their teaming up with Charlotte Linlin, he feels that Ye Chen and Charlotte Linlin are more likely. After all, both sides are pirates. And Charlotte Linlin's mind is weird, few people can figure out the mind of this mad woman. Garp is not a brain person after all, if Sengoku were to come, it would be possible. If it was him, it would be a little difficult. You can try it. Garp said, although it is not feasible, it can only be tried. After all, they still have a common goal, which is Pluto. Charlotte Linlin, let's work together. Aokiji quickly said. The rest of the forces have been swept away by Ye Chen, and now there are only 3 of us, but you can also see the strength of Ye Chen. If it is only one of us, it will not be Ye Chen's opponent. Quote. If you still want to get Pluto, we are the only one who joins forces. If we join forces, we still have a chance to defeat Ye Chen and seize Pluto. As long as we defeat Ye Chen, the ownership of Pluto depends on our respective abilities, and our strengths are more equal. What do you think? Although I don't really want to join hands 0. But Aokiji also knows that if they want to fight Ye Chen, they can only join forces. And this is just a test. If Charlotte Linlin doesn't want to, they will leave now. Not to mention, Sengoku also didn't say that he must snatch Pluto. Now Ye Chen has 2 Sea Emperors who are extremely powerful. If Sengoku knew it, he would probably understand it. Marine and the pirate teamed up, it's a wonder in the world. Ye Chen laughed in a low voice, and it was Marine Admiral's suggestion. If this spreads out, Marine's reputation may plummet. Marine and the pirate are deadly enemies, this is a well-known thing. And now Marine and the pirate have joined forces. Spread out, the influence is quite big. Especially for civilians. Marine Admiral has teamed up with the pirates. Isn't there a problem inside Marine? Isn't the so-called absolute justice just talking? Aokiji did not answer. He knew that everything was wrong now, waiting for Charlotte Linlin's response. In fact, he can't help it. If they don't want Pluto to fall into Ye Chen's hands, they can only do so. It's not impossible to join forces. Charlotte Linlin sat on the black thundercloud and said faintly, but Pluto will belong to me, otherwise it will be impossible. As the Emperor of the Sea and you Marine join forces, if this news spreads, it will have a great impact on me. If it is not good, I can't promise you. Doesn't it affect us much? Pirates are pirates, so greedy. Directly to the King of Hades, why don't you go to heaven? Aokiji cursed in his heart. Although it was expected that Charlotte Linlin was a lion, he did not expect that Charlotte Linlin would directly ask Pluto. If they can't get Pluto, they might as well just go straight away. In this case, there is no damage, and they don't need any effort. And if you join forces with Charlotte Linlin, not to mention the danger, it can also wipe out all the Marine on the warship. Impossible, Aokiji said in a deep voice. We can't make concessions with this. At most, we defeated Ye Chen. We have our own abilities. Whoever is strong will get Pluto. The words came out. Ye Chen became a little unhappy and said, Aokiji, are you too confident? We are not dead yet. Are you planning to divide our inheritance? Single quote. This is so ridiculous. I don't know. I thought they were all dead. No sincerity at all. Charlotte Linlin snorted coldly, then looked at Ye Chen, and said, why else Ye Chen? You give me Pluto. We have teamed up to give these Marines. Aokiji and Garp are both Marine seniors. If they are too dead, Marine was hit hard. And there was no such good opportunity to kill them before. Garp and Aokiji's faces changed. If the two parties really joined forces, they would be threatened. Chapter 105. Your proposal is not bad. Ye Chen looked at Garp and Aokiji and said with a smile, Garp and Aokiji are both senior Marines. If they both die, Marine will lose his right hand, and his strength will inevitably decline. My proposal is not bad, right? Charlotte Linlin laughed and said, we are all pirates, we are of the same kind. Instead of fighting with each other, we should kill Marine all. These guys are our enemies and our common enemies. And whether it is Aokiji or Garp, they are both Marines' cards. If the world knows that you killed them, your fame will surely become famous all over the world. Even to become the strongest Sea Emperor, no one refuted it. If Aokiji and Garp really died in the hands of Ye Chen, no one would really argue that he was the strongest Sea Emperor, even Whitebeard. After all, the record is there. As a Marine hero, Garp has unfathomable strength and is one of Marine's pillars. Even Whitebeard himself would not dare to say that he could flourish this guy. See Ye Chen very interested. Oh 9 Aokiji and Garp both panicked. If the two people really joined forces, they are much better off. Although they are very confident in their own strength, they have to face the 3 Sea Emperors, just like them, they are not sure. The strength lies there. Kuzan boy, if they really make a move later, I will help you stop them, and you will run away by yourself. Garp said in a deep voice. These two guys are capricious, it is impossible to join forces, and once they join forces, we must not be opponents. Rather than staying here with both of us, it is better to let one person leave. With your ability, it should be safe. Go away. Hearing Garp's words, Aokiji's face changed slightly, and he whispered, Senior Garp, I can't leave alone, and the two may not join hands. Ask him to leave alone. Aokiji felt a little uncomfortable and didn't quite agree with this matter. Rather than leaving alone, he hopes to stay here and fight with Garp to the end. And the two parties may not join forces and directly give Pluto. Based on his understanding of Ye Chen, it is impossible. The strongest Sea Emperor is really a good reputation, but I think you are quite suitable for this reputation, Charlotte Linlin. Ye Chen sneered and said, you don't have Pluto, and I don't need Pluto. Give me 2 devil fruits. I can help you kill these Marines. The price should be small enough, right? Quote. Ye Chen, what do you mean? Charlotte Linlin frowned and said coldly, I'm helping you. Are you helping me? Ye Chen sneered and said, and your tone is not small, you just want Pluto, who will give you the face. Single quote. Help him. What a joke. Ye Chen is not a fool. Although he killed Garp and Aokiji, his fame could be improved, but to his level. Still need fame. This thing can't become stronger and can't be eaten. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. And killing Garp and Aokiji is also very troublesome. If these two people die, Marine or the world government will definitely smash with him. In this case, it is not a good thing for the Black Crow Pirates group that is currently developing. The most important thing is that there is no benefit to killing these two people, there are only endless disadvantages, and Charlotte Linlin takes all the benefits. If Pluto takes it away, the world government will not trouble her. And Ye Chen has no Pluto here, only one more useless fame. What is the strongest Sea Emperor? Is this useful? Instead of this, Ye Chen might as well confront both of them. I heard that the two were about to fall apart. Garp and Aokiji breathed a sigh of relief. As long as the two parties do not join forces, their situation is still okay. Senior Garp, should we quit? Aokiji whispered. Marshal Sengoku did not let us have to grab Pluto, and with Ye Chen's strength, even if we join forces with Charlotte Linlin, there is little chance that we can grab Pluto. Quote. Rather than grabbing it now, it's better to let people inside the world government handle it. Although the two sides joined hands, the combat power seems to be significantly higher than Ye Chen's side, but the two sides are hostile after all. Even if they really join forces, it is impossible to make a 100% effort. There are definitely a lot of people who paddle. It is better to withdraw. After all, Sengoku just asked them to check the news, but didn't let them have to get Pluto. Hearing these words, Garp thought for a moment, and said, "You can quit." Their current situation is indeed a bit embarrassing. If you really stay here, there is no guarantee that accidents will happen. Might as well leave temporarily. Ye Chen, we will not participate in the fight for Pluto. Garp said to Ye Chen, we will not talk to Charlotte Linlin. If she still has an idea, let her do it herself. Marine will quit now. As long as you can let us go, we won't do it. If you want to leave, then leave, I won't stop you. Ye Chen said faintly, but you Marine will withdraw, which is somewhat beyond my expectation. Marine really wants to leave, and Ye Chen won't stay. After all, the strength of Garp and others is there, and it is not a simple matter for him to solve it in a short time. And, when Marine is gone, he can take care of Charlotte Linlin. Mother, if Marine leaves, with my strength, it may not be Ye Chen's opponent. Kata Curry whispered, should we leave too? Single quote. Go. Charlotte Linlin gritted her teeth. Although she is a bit erratic, under such circumstances, she also understands that walking now is the best choice. If you wait until Marine is gone. If they start hands with Ye Chen, it will be troublesome. Ye Chen with 2 Sea Emperors is enough to destroy them. Suddenly, when everyone at Marine was about to leave, they found that Charlotte Linlin had left the sea without saying a word. Master Ye Chen, do you want to catch up? Ulquiorra fell next to Ye Chen and asked in a low voice. Now the rescue is not needed for the time being. Ye Chen said lightly, wait for me to return to New World, I'm dealing with this guy. Okay. Ulquiorra nodded indifferently, he only obeyed Ye Chen's orders. Since Ye Chen didn't plan to do it, he wouldn't do it. Looking at Charlotte Linlin, who was going away, Ye Chen said loudly, Charlotte Linlin, it's useless for you to go now. I will settle with you when I return to New World. If you don't give me a satisfactory answer to today's matter, then there will be no 5 emperors in the future, only 4 emperors will remain. The voice fell. Both Garp and Aokiji were a little surprised. This is planning to declare war, and also planning to destroy the entire ant pirate group. Charlotte Linlin did not reply, but the sky was full of thunder, enough to tell that Charlotte Linlin was also in a state of furious rage. Chapter 106. With the departure of the ant, Garp and others. The battlefield here has also ended. In the end, all the forces that came here, except Ant and Marine, stayed here. Oh, and Blackbeard them. These guys run fast, but they are not implicated. If it weren't for these guys to run fast, I guess they would have stayed here. Ye Chen was dealing with the ant at the time, so he didn't bother to care about these guys. Everyone dispersed. Ye Chen didn't stop there either. After sending Princess Vivi back, they also returned to New World. A few days later, things in Banner Town spread all over the world. A sensation all over the world. More than 20 top forces have passed, except for the Charlotte Linlin pirates and Marine as the Emperor of the Sea. All the others died. None of them are left. Among these, some are the top pirates in New World, second only to Ye Chen and others, but they are still dead. No one stayed. The news came out and immediately caused a sensation in the world. Especially the appearance of Ulquiorra made everyone even more horrified. Battle power at the level of the Emperor of the Sea. Now the Black Raven Pirates is the strongest pirate group, no one should oppose it. 2 Sea Emperor level combat power, 2 Admiral level combat power, and the existence of the ancient weapon Pluto, I really can't imagine, can anyone defeat the Black Crow Pirates? Unless the world government gives its all. The era of Whitebeard and others is over, and a new era is about to begin. Damn this Ulquiorra who came out of it, why is it so powerful? No one will know, and how Ye Chen subdued Ulquiorra. The strength of Ulquiorra shocked everyone. Battle power at the level of the Emperor of the Sea. This level of combat power is one of the few in the world, and it can be counted with one hand. And this level of combat power is basically the overlord of one party. The two parties are rarely together. Marine is an exception. It is rumored that Beckman is also at this level, but no one knows if he really has this strength, because no one has forced all of Beckman's strength. So many people still remain skeptical about Beckman's strength. Plus Red Hair Pirates is low-key enough. Therefore, most people think that Red Hair Pirates has only the combat power of a Sea Emperor. That's the Redhead himself. But now, the appearance of Ulquiorra basically confirms that the Black Crow Pirates have 2 Sea Emperors. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Ulquiorra plus Ye Chen himself, the combat power of the 2 Sea Emperors, are extremely powerful. Simultaneously, everyone found out, the strength of the Black Crow Pirate group has reached an extremely terrifying level. 2 Admiral level combat powers, 2 Sea Emperor level combat powers, and a mighty Pluto. With a lot of blessings, they found that there were basically no pirate groups that could contend with the Sea Emperor. Unless it is all Marine, or world government. In addition, there are no other pirate groups. Not even Whitebeard. All of a sudden, The reputation of the Black Crow pirates has reached an extremely terrifying level, and even ranks first in the hearts of countless people. While shocked, it was full of fear. Marine headquarters. You have worked hard. Sengoku looked at Garp and Aokiji sitting on the sofa and sighed. The Black Crow pirates can no longer deal with it. His level of danger is no different from that of Rock's pirate. Rock's pirate claimed to be able to destroy the world. Although a bit exaggerated, but it is enough to represent the strength of Rock's pirate, and it also represents the strength of the Black Crow pirates. This has become an extremely troublesome existence for everyone. I have reported the Pluto incident to 5 elders. Sengoku said. This matter will be handled internally by the world government, so you don't need to worry too much. Sengoku, the Black Crow pirates is so powerful that even the world government cannot solve it. Garp sighed and said, I know that there is a powerful force within the world government, but I really don't think it is realistic to solve the Black Crow pirates. I know this naturally. Sengoku said. But what can be done? The Black Crow pirates have grown up. If you want to solve them, you can't solve them overnight. Single quote. And we can't decide this matter, we can only leave it to the people above to deal with it. Garp was silent. He also understands this truth. Backquote. By the way, what did you say about Ye Chen's declaration of war on Charlotte Linlin at the time? Sengoku said. When we left, Charlotte Linlin also followed. Aokiji said. But Ye Chen didn't stop them, but when Charlotte Linlin was leaving, he said something to be solved by returning to New World. If Charlotte Linlin doesn't give him a satisfactory answer, then the 5 emperors will become 4 emperors. I feel that Ye Chen has the idea to deal with Charlotte Linlin. It may be because of some things that Pluto is fighting for. If they really go to war, that would be a good thing. Sengoku whispered. In the past, the battle between the 2 sea emperors is definitely not what they want to see. But now, Sengoku would love to see it. Because the top combat power of New World is too much now, if it doesn't reduce some, it must be a trouble to get money. And, if Ye Chen and Charlotte Linlin really do it, it would be a good thing for them. Because of this, the strength of both parties can be reduced. Especially Ye Chen's side. If you can kill some of the top combat power, that would be the best. At the same time, on the sea, a news came out. Ye Chen intends to take action on Charlotte Linlin, and is about to go to Cake Island. The news came out, suddenly attracted the attention of many people. The battle between the 2 emperors in the sea is definitely the most explosive news, and it is also the most explosive news. Especially things in Banner Town didn't last long. Simultaneously, they also want to see if the 2 sides are at war, which side will win. Not. Chapter 107. Dress Rosa. In a courtyard of the palace. Master Ye Chen, we have already spread the news, but we really want to do something to Charlotte Linlin. Doflamingo respectfully looked at Ye Chen in front of him, and said, if we do, Shanks and Whitebeard may not sit back and watch. Not long ago, Ye Chen returned to Dressrosa with Pluto, Robin and others. After returning, Ye Chen orders Doflamingo, publicity should be done on Charlotte Linlin. When he heard the news at first, Doflamingo was stunned, although he knew that Ye Chen would act on other sea emperors sooner or later. I just didn't expect Ye Chen to be so fast. It was only half a month since the last time I confronted the Emperor Haishan. Less than a month. It was actually about to do something against the 2 sea emperors. Something unprecedented. Even Kaido, the most arrogant among the sea emperors, did not do such a thing. Back then Kaido had frictions with the other sea emperors, but basically they provoked 1 sea emperor, and never provoked 2 sea emperors. At the same time, it is impossible to provoke 2 in less than a month. One can make Kaido choking. Of course you have to do it, why not do it? Ye Chen sat on a chair, took a sip of tea, and said faintly, since Charlotte Linlin robbed me of Pluto in the past, it means that we have formed a beam, and this beam basically cannot be solved, either he died or I died. The most important thing is that the existence of Pluto will attract a lot of people around the corner. I need to kill the chickens and monkeys once, to let those people in the dark understand that there are some things that they can't get involved. As for Shanks and Whitebeard, you don't need to worry too much. These 2 guys should remind you 2 words at most. They really let them participate. I guess they don't want to. He didn't worry that Whitebeard and Shanks would come over as lobbyists. Because he knows, war is really about to break out, and these 2 guys don't care. Because even if you participate in it, it is not good for them. Simultaneously, the reason why they might come to be lobbyists. The death is only because I want to calm New World for a period of time. This time, because of the appearance of Ye Chen, it is indeed too lively. Master Ye Chen, didn't you just slay a lot of top forces in Banner Town not long ago? Hearing that Ye Chen wanted to use Charlotte Linlin as a deterrent, Doflamingo said in amazement, the destruction of these top powers should have scared those in the dark. Take the Emperor of the Sea to kill the chicken and curse the monkey. This wave of operations shocked the extremely arrogant Doflamingo. The courage is too great. Who is the Emperor of the Sea? Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. The culmination of the current pirates. The leader of New World. They are basically the top people in the world. Even the world government has a headache when it sees the Emperor of the Sea. It doesn't seem to provoke these people. Basically, others will be scared to death when they hear or see the Emperor of the Sea. Ye Chen was good, he wanted to destroy the Emperor of the Sea. Used to kill chickens and monkeys. This approach. Even the world government dare not do it. You think too much. Ye Chen shook his head. Pluto's value is there, even if so many people die, some people will still be moved. Treasures are touching, you don't understand how tempting Pluto is for some people. It is estimated that it will not be long before some forces will sneak into Dressrosa. I don't value these guys, but they are too numerous, like a group of flies or ants, although I can pinch them to death at will, but too many will make me upset. Instead of finding and destroying them one by one, it is better to find one to compare. Admiral and they are destroyed, then these guys will be scared. Charlotte Linlin is a good choice, and this guy didn't make me very happy in Banner Town. Ye Chen also planned to kill the chickens and monkeys when they gathered those people in Banner Town. He thought that this would make some people back down. Who knows? Some people are really not afraid of death, and they still have ideas. Ye Chen is not afraid of these people. Even if the number is large, he can solve them, but these guys are different from those in Banner Town. These people are probably hiding, and it is a little troublesome to find out all of them. And so, Ye Chen plans to come to a big place and directly destroy Charlotte Linlin. The death of a sea emperor was enough to scare these people. Of course, in addition to shocking, he will also let the Ulquiorra people explore these forces and find one to destroy the other. Let them simply break this mind. In addition, the arrogance of Charlotte Linlin in Banner Town does make Ye Chen unhappy. But Master Ye Chen, what if Charlotte Linlin apologizes? Doflamingo said. Although this is a little unlikely, it's not impossible. If Charlotte Linlin pays for the things in Banner Town, do we have to do it? Single quote. Then forget it. Ye Chen touched his chin and said faintly, it can make this guy bow his head. We really have no reason to do something to her. The sea emperors all succumbed, and the effect of shock was achieved. There really is no need to do it. But it depends on whether Charlotte Linlin is willing or not, or how much the price can be paid. To put it bluntly, see if there is sincerity. It's probably impossible. Doflamingo secretly said in his heart. It is too difficult for the Emperor of the Sea to succumb. The Emperors of the Sea are basically arrogant people, even if they die, it is estimated that they will not choose to surrender. If you succumb, that would not be the Emperor of the Sea. Of course, this is not inevitable. Facing the strength of the Black Crow pirates, Charlotte Linlin may not be able to give in. The strength of both sides. The gap is a bit too big. By the way, how is the expansion of the site? Ye Chen looked at Doflamingo and asked. So long has passed. The territory of the Black Crow pirate group should not be small anymore. Fur. Master Ye Chen went well together. According to your instructions, we have now invaded the territory of other sea emperors. Doflamingo said. Whitebeard, Shanks, and Charlotte Linlin all warned us and wanted us to leave, but we didn't care. Well done. Ye Chen said lightly. Just ignore them, just follow the plan. It's Ye Chen, but recently there was news that Whitebeard and Shanks met once and no one knew what they were talking about. Moreover, there is news that the two seem to have deliberately brought the sea emperors together to discuss too much about the division of New World. Don't worry, wait for them to come to me in person. Yes. Single quote. Chapter 108. The Whitebeard Pirates. Father, those guys from the Black Crow Pirates have already invaded our territory, should we do it? Marco looked at Whitebeard who was sitting aside and said, we have warned them not long ago, but the Black Crow Pirates didn't pay attention to us, they were still doing their own way. And they not only invaded our site, they also didn't let go of Redhead and Big Mom. These guys are really arrogant. Recently, news came out that Ye Chen deliberately started a war on BGIGMOM and now invaded our territory. I really don't know what these guys think. Marco couldn't understand the operation of the Black Crow Pirates. Generally speaking, if they want to fight against BIGMOM, they should not provoke them. In this case, without their participation, even if they start a war, they will have enough advantages to defeat or destroy BIGMOM. But now the Black Crow Pirates did not do so, and while fighting against BIGMOM, they also invaded their waters. Is this going to do it on three sides? Or is there another purpose? Goo la la la, this guy is really restless. Whitebeard's face was calm, smiled, and said faintly. Moreover, his ambition is not small. It seems that his purpose is not only BIGMOM alone, maybe we are also in his plan. Father, shall we intervene? Marco said angrily. These guys are too arrogant. Kaido was not as arrogant as they were. Single quote. After the separation of the four emperors, New World calmed down directly, even if Kaido, who had been doing things all the time, didn't do anything. And Kaido will not do things like Ye Chen. I discussed with the red-haired kid not long ago, and I want a few of us to sit down and talk about the division of New World. Whitebeard said. I didn't think it was necessary before, but it seems necessary now. Contact those guys and ask them to come to Kanglin Island to discuss matters. Father, what if they refuse? Marco frowned and said. With their character, they may not really come over. Shanks had this idea in the first place. I think he won't refuse. Kaido is seriously injured now. I don't think he will come. Since he doesn't come, he doesn't need to invite him. As for BIGMOM, he will definitely come. This guy is now being targeted by Ye Chen. I guess it's uncomfortable in my heart, and I'm looking for a solution. Ye Chen is a trouble. This guy may not come, no one knows his thoughts. In the face of Whitebeard, there is no need to worry about inviting the others. Only Ye Chen and Whitebeard are not sure. The character of Ye Chen might not give Whitebeard face. And now that the Black Crow pirates are so strong, they may not agree to come over. But Whitebeard decided to give it a try. Now New World is too lively, which is not a good thing for New World. Quickly, Whitebeard started to act. For the Sea Emperor to come over, the contact must be made by Whitebeard himself. Otherwise, it would be a bit of a shame. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. After all, everyone is the Emperor of the Sea, and there is no difference in status. If Marco were to be contacted, and it was still such an important matter, it would make the rest of the people very dissatisfied. Thought it lost face. The first person Whitebeard contacted was Charlotte Linlin. The phone worm on the deck paused for a while. After a while, the phone worm changed into Charlotte Linlin's appearance, looking very vicious. What is Newgate looking for my mother? An extremely sharp voice came from the phone worm. Newgate. Whitebeard's name. It's just that Whitebeard's name is too loud, so that countless people have forgotten Whitebeard's original name. And Charlotte Linlin and Whitebeard were crew members, both from Rock's Pirate, so they must be called by names. Goo la la la, you are still the same as before, but nothing has changed, Linlin. Whitebeard grinned and said, this time I have a very important thing for you. I want to let the past Kanglin Island. Let's sit down and talk about things that are too New World. In addition to you, there are the red-haired kid and Ye Chen. The Kaido guy doesn't know where he is going, and according to his current injury, it is estimated that he will not come out, so I didn't invite him. That fellow Ye Chen is going too. Charlotte Linlin sneered and said, if that guy goes, I won't go. I don't want to see that arrogant kid for the time being, and that guy has just declared war with me recently. Do you think I might pass? Because of this, I invite you. Whitebeard said faintly. This time I am looking for you. In addition to discussing the division of New World, the most important thing is to resolve your conflicts. 0 Find flowers 0. Ye Chen's strength lies there. If you really want to go to war, you have no chance of winning. Charlotte Linlin was silent, because Whitebeard is telling the truth. If the two sides really go to war, she really has no chance of winning. As the Emperor of the Sea, Charlotte Linlin is also extremely powerful, strong like clouds, and these people are her sons or daughters. It is also one of the few big forces in New World. But to compare with Ye Chen's Black Crow pirates, that would be much worse. Top combat power. Only him and Katakuri are on her side. And Ye Chen's side. There are 2 Marine Emperor level combat powers, and 2 Admiral level combat powers. Although the remaining forces are not comparable to the forces that Charlotte Linlin has managed for decades, the 4 explosive forces are already several times or even dozens of times stronger than the combined power of the rest of her. 0. Especially Ulquiorra. The strength of a Sea Emperor's level of combat power, the power that can burst out, is not what ordinary people imagine. I agreed to your invitation. Charlotte Linlin snorted and said, it's just that the Black Crow Pirates group is gaining momentum recently. I heard that Ye Chen's subordinates have invaded me. You, the red-headed kid's territory, this guy is very ambitious, look. I am planning to rule the entire New World. I want to be like Rock's pirate back then. What do you think about this matter? Inviting you this time, I also intend that we sit down and talk about this matter. Having said this, Whitebeard paused for a while and said, if Ye Chen still refuses to give in, then we will not sit back and watch. Single quote. Although Whitebeard has plans to mediate. But if Ye Chen still does his own way, Whitebeard can't just sit back and watch. I see, if they go, they will contact me at that time. This sentence is enough. Although Charlotte Linlin knew it in her heart, it was different from others. Not to mention Whitebeard himself. Even Charlotte Linlin really hopes that Ye Chen will still go his own way, and no one will show any face. In this case, even if he goes to war with Ye Chen, he is not too worried. Because of this, Whitebeard will get involved. Chapter 109. Compared to Charlotte Linlin's, Shanks's connection is much simpler. Sit down and chat together. This is a good thing. Shanks smiled faintly and said, I just want to see Ye Chen too. You can set a time, Whitebeard, I'll go there. Single quote. Of course if Ye Chen doesn't come, I won't go. This guy doesn't come to our tea party this time. Tea party. This time Whitebeard took the lead in inviting all Sea Emperors except Kaido. As the name suggests, everyone came over to drink tea and talk about New World. There is also something about Ye Chen. You all agreed, I believe that guy will probably not refuse. Whitebeard smiled. Although I haven't invited him yet, as far as he knows, this guy won't refuse, and most likely will come. These 80 may not be Whitebeard. Shanks smiled. Now this guy is invading all 3 of our territories. It's hard to guarantee that this guy will feel that this time invite's over, and it's our 3 parties to join hands to deal with him. This kind of thinking is normal. After all, the Black Crow pirates under Ye Chen invaded all of them in this sensitive period. Whitebeard invited all of them. It is normal for others to think that it may be a Hongman banquet. What you said really makes sense. But I still think this guy will come. With this guy's confidence, I might not refuse. Whitebeard said faintly. And if you are you, will you come? Come, why not come? Shanks slightly Haki said. It's an honor for me to let the 3 Sea Emperors join forces to deal with me. Single quote. The Sea Emperor basically did not join hands. At most, Charlotte Linlin and Kaido may join forces to form an alliance, but it will not be directly stated. To some extent, the Emperor of the Sea always keeps the water from the well and does not release the water from the river. Even if he has to deal with each other, he basically won't join hands. Because they have their own pride. Of course, things are not so absolute, which does not mean that it is impossible to join forces. Kaido and Auntie have joined forces, but Whitebeard and Shanks have never had such a thing. Goo la la la, you are still the same red-haired kid. Whitebeard smiled faintly and said, since you dare, there is no reason to refuse with Ye Chen's character, but I still invite him, after all, he is our protagonist. Well, if he promises to contact me. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. At the same time, Dressrosa. In the courtyard of the palace, there is only Ye Chen alone. He was lying on the chair with his eyes closed and basking in the sun. Suddenly, a phone worm on the table rang. Hearing this voice, Ye Chen opened his eyes and connected to the phone worm. Quickly, a crescent-shaped beard appeared on the phone worm, and a heroic voice rang. I first met Ye Chen, I'm Whitebeard. Hearing this voice, Ye Chen raised his eyebrows and said with a smile, what can I do, Whitebeard? Let you contact me personally, wouldn't it be as simple as a chat, right? Whitebeard can reach him. Ye Chen was not surprised, because it was his intention. He seemed to have visited Doflamingo. If Whitebeard came to the door, he would tell the phone worm's contact information. Of course it's not just chatting. Whitebeard grinned and said, I will hold a tea party on Kanglin Island, and I will invite you here. This time the tea party, besides you and me, there are red-haired Shanks and Charlotte Linlin. What does this guy Whitebeard want to do? He even called all the emperors of the sea except Kaido. Ye Chen was a little surprised. Whitebeard is a big deal. He almost called all the emperors of the sea, not Kaido. It is estimated that this guy is recovering from his injuries, even if he calls him, he won't come. There is no Kaido. Ye Chen is not surprised. It's just that Whitebeard called so many people, which really went beyond Ye Chen's expectations. This is not in the original book. The 4 emperors gathered together, and it was shocking to think about it. We must know that in the original work, at most, the 2 emperors converge, and there are no 3 emperors, let alone 4 emperors. Listening to your tone, the other 2 should agree. Just leave me alone, and the guy Kaido will not come. Kaido's situation, you and I know well, even if I invited, that guy might not come, so I didn't invite him. Whitebeard said. And you are right, you are the last one I invited, and the other 2 have already agreed. As long as you are willing to come, they will come. Ye Chen said. I agree to this, but I want to know what is your purpose for organizing this tea party. Is it possible for the 4 of us to get together, drink tea and chat? You are not so boring, Whitebeard. Of course not. I have 2 goals for the tea party this time. One is to ease the conflict between you and Linlin, and the second is to divide New World Zero. Ye Chen, I know your strength. If you fight Linlin, you will definitely win, but Linlin is also the Emperor of the Sea, not an ordinary cat or dog. If you really fight, your side will suffer a lot. The world government won't sit idly by when the time comes. The last time we fought Kaido, it was not actually a war of the Emperor of the Sea, at best it was a battle of the strong. The impact is not big. But this time if there is a real war with Charlotte Linlin, it won't be that simple. The war between the 2 sea emperors is enough to affect more than half of the New World. And, Charlotte Linlin shouldn't be underestimated. As the Emperor of the Sea, none of them are weak, and they really fought. Ye Chen wants to win without loss, which is unrealistic. Too much involved. The matter between you and Linlin can be discussed at the beginning of the tea party. Of course, if you fail to negotiate, and you insist on starting a war, we will not stop you. Other than that, it's the problem of oversight. Ye Chen, you need a sight. I understand it very well. It's just that your approach is a little inappropriate. To alleviate this problem, the 4 of us can sit down and talk about it. The contradiction between Ye Chen and Charlotte Linlin, coupled with Ye Chen's sight problem, is the theme of this tea party. And from Whitebeard's mouth, Ye Chen can know that Whitebeard doesn't seem to be at war with him, so he organized a tea party, hoping to find a solution through the 4-party conversation. We can talk about this, tell me the time, I can rush over. Ye Chen said lightly. A week later, Kanglin Island. It is good. Single quote. Chapter 110. Whitebeard is still old after all. Ye Chen looked at the phone worm on the desktop and said inwardly. If it was before, it is impossible for Whitebeard to have a tea party. If he invades his territory, it is probably going to go straight to war. Kaido back then did something similar to Ye Chen, occupying some territory. However, Whitebeard directly launched the war and directly repelled Kaido. Since then, no one can move Whitebeard's status. Even the guy Kaido is the same. Just now, Ye Chen did the same thing as Kaido before, but Whitebeard did not go to war. Instead, he had a tea party. Through Whitebeard's words, Ye Chen could hear that Whitebeard had no intention of fighting. It seems that they want to find a more perfect way to deal with the current problems through the talks of 4 emperors. As for what it is, this will have to wait until the tea party begins. A week's time, I guess it's almost the same. Ye Chen stretched. He knew the place of Kanglan Island. It used to be a kingdom, but it was destroyed later, and now it has become a deserted island. Oh 9. Liao is uninhabited and no one lives. And it's not very far from Dressrosa, the normal pirate ship sailing, arrived in a few days. If you want to use Pluto, it is estimated to be at most 1 day. If you want to be faster, then use Galileo. At his speed, it will be a few hours at most. So Ye Chen is not very anxious now. There is still plenty of time. Then, Ye Chen summoned all the senior officials of the Black Crow Pirates. After about half a day, Ulquiorra, Galileo, Acides, Doflamingo, all 4 hurried back. In the hall, everyone sat on the sofa and looked at Ye Chen intently, waiting for Ye Chen to speak. Not long ago, Whitebeard contacted me. He organized a tea session. Except Kaido, the rest of the Sea Emperors passed. Ye Chen looked at the crowd and said lightly, and I also promised Whitebeard that the tea party will be held in a week. Galileo, Ulquiorra, you two will go with me. As for Acides and Doflamingo, stay here for the time being and guard the king. Quote. If anyone dares to get involved with Pluto, don't care about their status, kill them all. If there is any emergency, you can contact me as soon as possible. With Acides sitting in town, it is enough to suppress those Xiao Xiao. If there are more powerful enemies, he can also rush back as soon as possible. So don't worry too much. At the speed of Galileo's full firepower, he could arrive in at most an hour or 2. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Captain, why don't you let me go? Let Ulquiorra stay here. I heard that I was going to guard Dressrosa. Acides' face suddenly collapsed. The guard is so boring, there is no strong person she is interested in. But the tea party is different. The top powerhouses of New World gathered there. If there is an emergency, she can also fight against the strong. For Acides, a fighting maniac, only by letting her fight against the strong can she feel happy. No way. Ye Chen shook his head and said, Ulquiorra can't help but go. He is a reserve force. If an emergency happens, he and I can cope with it together. As for Galileo is going to take us there, so you can only stay here. Single quote. And fighting the strong, sooner or later there will be a chance, you don't need to worry. If it's an ordinary tea party, Ye Chen doesn't matter. It's the same with Acides or Ulquiorra. But there were too many strong people gathered this time. If the 3 parties really joined forces, he and Galileo might not be able to withstand them. That's why I brought Ulquiorra. This is to be on the safe side. Well, if the captain has a fight in the future, remember to take me there. Recently, I fought those guys and I felt very boring. I am not a strong one. Acides said disgustingly. She has always been doing the expansion of the territory, but none of the enemies encountered can make her excited. Before, I met a great swordsman or something, and asked her to be a little serious, but it was not too strong. She was quickly resolved. Don't worry, Lord Ye Chen, with Acides and I, no one can interfere with Pluto. Doflamingo said with a grin. He wasn't very worried about this. Although Pluto was placed in Dressrosa, there were not many people who really dared to get involved. It is also the Emperor of the Sea and the world government. However, the Emperors of the Sea used to participate in the tea party, and it is bound to be impossible to come. As for the world government, it is a trouble. However, Doflamingo is not very worried. If the world government has any important actions, he will know the first time. Just contact Ye Chen at that time. In this way, Ye Chen ordered everything down. As for the expansion site, it also stopped. Almost at the same time. The other 3 emperors are also doing the same thing as Ye Chen, ordering the people below to prepare to go to Kanglan Island. They are different from Ye Chen. Ye Chen has Galileo and can get there quickly, but they have to sail by boat, which takes time. Time flies. Soon several days passed, and the time for the tea party gradually approached. And during this time, the news of the tea party on Kanglan Island spread out and immediately caused a huge sensation. If it was an ordinary tea party, it's nothing. Because all over the world, there are such tea parties all the time. But this time the tea party was not trivial. Except Kaido, all Sea Emperors participated. This made many people think of Pian. What happened to bring the 4 emperors together? And what do they plan to do when they gather on Kanglan Island this time? This makes many people curious. Is it possible that the 4 emperors want to join forces? Or it has another purpose? It is inevitable that they will think more. After all, there has never been such a thing before. The gathering of the 4 emperors is unprecedented. Even because of this, Ye Chen and Charlotte Linlin's enthusiasm for the war has dissipated a lot, and they are both talking about the Blue Island Tea Party. It's just that most of them are in the mood to watch the show. Because this kind of thing is not something they can participate in. But for the world government, for Marine, this is something that has to be prudent. After all, the 4 emperors gathered. What are they trying to do? This makes the world government have to think. Is it true that it is the same as Rock's pirate back then? Planning everyone to join forces. If this is the case, it would be a very troublesome thing. Chapter 111. Holy Land Mary Geois. In one room, 5 elders and others sat around the round table. Among them, the blonde 5 elders looked around and spoke first. you probably already know the news. Except Kaido, the other sea emperors gathered on Kanglan Island for a tea conversation. This time the tea session was personally led by Whitebeard. No one knows what he wants to do. It is very possible to reproduce the Rocks pirate decades ago. And among the 4 sea emperors, 2 of them were crew members of Rocks pirate. In the past, the sea emperors were scattered separately, and only a few of them might have 2 sea emperors together to discuss some things. But this time the 4 sea emperors gathered, which made 5 elders and others have to think more. Because this happened decades ago. Although there was no such thing as a sea emperor at the time, there was a person who summoned the strongest group of pirates in the world at that time and integrated these people together. And this is Rocks pirate, and that person is Rocks, the strongest pirate back then. Back then, Rocks also gathered all the big powers to discuss things together, and then they united together. Now Whitebeard is exactly the same, plus Whitebeard was still a crew member of Rocks pirate. This made 5 elders and others nervous. It's impossible. Whitebeard also wants to do what Rocks did back then, and wants to unite the rest of the sea emperors. If this is the case, they will never allow it. The strength of Rocks pirate back then was in their eyes. If they really want to renew it now, they will definitely try their best to stop it. I think you are still too nervous. Although this matter requires careful consideration, it is impossible to reproduce Rocks pirate. Ye Chen and Charlotte Linlin are so conflicted that they are unlikely to join forces. And the reason Rocks was able to unite those people back then was because he was strong enough to frighten those people. But now these 4 sea emperors, each of them are extremely proud people, no one wants to condescend to others. If they join forces, who will be the boss? Whitebeard, or Charlotte Linlin? Although the qualifications of these 2 people are old enough, Charlotte Linlin's strength is a little worse. The others are definitely unable to agree. Whitebeard's strength is strong enough, but he is too old now and may not be able to deter these people. They want to join forces, it's impossible. A 5 elders with a long white beard said lightly. He remained skeptical about this matter. Because it is not realistic. Rocks was able to succeed in the past because he was recognized as the first person. But the current situation is not. If Whitebeard was at the peak, it might be possible. But now Whitebeard is obviously unable to hold people down. Neither Ye Chen nor Shanks could agree. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Especially Ye Chen. Contradictions are not a problem. Many people in Rocks pirate were mortal enemies, but they still joined Rocks pirate. The blonde 5 elders said lightly. In Rocks pirate, the strong are like clouds, almost gathering more than half of the strong that year. However, many of these people are mortal enemies. Blonde 5 elders said this. Just want to tell 5 elders with the white beard. There is contradiction and hatred, but it does not mean that they cannot be united together. And these enemies, in the end, not a lot of people died of infighting, which does not mean anything. 5 elders with a long white beard said faintly. And Whitebeard's character, you and I know it is impossible for him to unite these people and get a Rocks pirate. This time Whitebeard organized these people, probably for another purpose. But definitely not uniting the rest. And isn't one of you contacted the redhead Shanks? He should tell you the purpose of this tea conversation. The words came out. Suddenly, the other 5 elders looked at 5 elders, who were wearing robes, round frame glasses, and holding a large sword. The red-haired Shanks cooperated with them, and the person who contacted Shanks was the 5 elders who was holding Kaido. Seeing everyone looking over, Kaido 5 elders pushed his glasses and said in a deep voice, Shanks did tell me the purpose of this tea party. Whitebeard organized the tea party this time for 2 purposes. One is to resolve the contradiction between Charlotte Linlin and Ye Chen. It should be about the division of the New World site. In order to expand the site, Ye Chen has reached out to the 3 of them. The 3 of them were not very satisfied with this matter, but instead of teaming up to deal with Ye Chen, they organized a tea party, hoping that the 4 of them would sit down and talk about the matter, hoping to find a suitable solution to solve the problem in front of you. And through Shanks' words, I can hear that neither Whitebeard nor Shanks intends to go to war with Ye Chen. Because I don't want to go to war, and I want to solve the problem in front of me, so there is this tea party. Hearing these words, the rest of 5 elders were a little shocked. They did not expect that this time the tea party would appear because of these problems. The truth is a bit weird. Because of these things, if they were placed in the past, it would be impossible for the so-called sit down and talk, but directly go to war. That guy Whitebeard is still old after all. 5 elders sneered. If it was before, how could Whitebeard do such a thing? He just chose to go to war. To be able to do this is nothing but Whitebeard's old age and a change in his mentality. Based on my conversation with Shanks, I came to a conclusion that this tea conversation is not so much a problem solving, as it is to protect Ye Chen, or that I don't want to weaken Ye Chen's strength because of this. Kaido 5 elders said in a deep voice, Whitebeard seems to value Ye Chen himself, and even evaluates him more than Roger himself. He thinks he might surpass Roger and do things that Roger can't do. Because of this matter, Whitebeard will gather these people to hold a tea conversation, so that Ye Chen can't break out a war with other forces for a short time, especially with Charlotte Linlin. The battle between the 2 emperors, even if one party is extremely powerful, but it really is about to break out. The winning party will definitely not be unscathed. In order to avoid this problem, Whitebeard can do this tea party. This is Whitebeard's purpose. The purpose is to give Ye Chen enough time to grow up. This guy put some expectations on Ye Chen's getting the money. Even though the two have not seen each other, they are not even too familiar with each other, but Whitebeard did it anyway. The voice fell. Everyone fell silent. They didn't expect the tea party to have this meaning. Whitebeard actually wanted to protect a person of the same status as him. And the two of them are not familiar with each other, haven't talked, or even met each other. Is this possible? If they were to change to someone else, they would find it impossible. But if it is Whitebeard, it may not be impossible. This guy is very strange, completely different from the other pirates. If it were him, it seemed normal to do this kind of thing. And now that Whitebeard is gradually dying, it is not impossible to put some expectations on Ye Chen. After all, Ye Chen's advantage lies there. With his strength, age and talent, he has enough time to surpass those predecessors. What Whitebeard and his generation could not do, Ye Chen has a great possibility to do it. Chapter 112. If it's that guy Whitebeard, it is indeed possible to do this. The blonde five elders' expression changed, and his face gloomy said, but we can't just watch Whitebeard do this, right? Ye Chen's threat lies there. If we don't do something and continue to let him grow, it will inevitably become a major concern for us in the future, and even surpass the revolutionary army. Although the Emperor of the Sea is also an enemy of the world government. But on threatening words, the revolutionary army is even better, because the revolutionary army has already moved their roots. The Emperor of the Sea, the death of the sea is called the wind and the rain in the New World, and the reputation of the sea thief is inherently bad, and most civilians hate the pirates. Therefore, it is obviously impossible for the pirates to subvert them. But the revolutionary army is different. These guys have rehabilitated some countries of the world government, and even in the hearts of civilians, the goodwill of the revolutionary army is far beyond that of the world government. In addition, the revolutionary army has become more and more fierce in recent years, and many countries have rebelled. This is not good news for the world government. If in the past, although they would follow the Sea Emperor, they would not be too worried that these guys would not be able to move their roots. To subvert them, the strength is not enough. But the appearance of Ye Chen made them nervous. Talent, strength, age, and the forces under his command are extremely powerful. Ye Chen is not very old, very young, at most in his early 20s, but his talent eclipses countless people, even the Emperor of the Sea, Roger, and even Locks. But in his early 20s, he has the strength of the Sea Emperor, and he has enough time to go deeper and reach the legendary level. If Ye Chen reaches that level, world government is dangerous. They are very clear about the strength of that level. In addition, Ye Chen's power also made them jealous. If only Ye Chen is alone, are they very afraid, even if Ye Chen has reached that level. There are also strong people of the same level on their side, enough to contend. But Ye Chen's subordinates made them nervous. 2 Admiral-level combat power, and a Sea Emperor-level combat power. Within a short period of time, so many strong people gathered. They don't know, will Ye Chen gather more powerful players in the future? If it is true, that would be terrible. It is very possible to do things that countless strong people have been unable to do for 800 years. And so, knowing that Whitebeard intends to help Ye Chen, the blonde 5 elders couldn't sit still. He can't let Ye Chen continue to develop. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. This is indeed a problem. A fat Tabal 5 elders had a solemn face, and said in a deep voice, you can't let Ye Chen have time to develop. It's better to continue to provoke him and the rest of the war. The war between him and Charlotte Linlin can't be stopped. It's best for both sides to start a war, or even involve Kaido, this is the best. Even Whitebeard, Shanks can get involved. Whitebeard intends to protect. It made them vigilant, since Whitebeard intends to stop Ye Chen and Charlotte Linlin, deliberately not to consume Ye Chen's strength. Then they won't let Whitebeard wish. The best thing is that Ye Chen keeps launching wars, so that it can consume Ye Chen's own strength. The best result is to let Ye Chen die in the constant war, or the strong under his command will be hit hard, or strength. Since Ye Chen cannot be destroyed, then they can't make Ye Chen stronger. This is the purpose of 5 elders now. Ye Chen made them feel threatened, which was different from the forces of other Sea Emperors, and did not allow him enough time to develop. Ye Chen doesn't like fighting. Then they are as Ye Chen intended. Promote war behind the scenes. You can play Kaido today, Charlotte Linlin tomorrow, Shanks or Whitebeard the day after tomorrow. Anyway, let Ye Chen and the Black Crow pirates under his control continue to fight, constantly consuming their heritage. I agree with this. Kaido 5 elders said in a deep voice. Ye Chen's threat is too great, plus he now has Pluto, the threat is even worse, and it is indeed possible to threaten us. Single quote. We can't get into Whitebeard's will. We must let Charlotte Linlin and Ye Chen engage in hostility, and we can't let them stop. How to do? The blonde 5 elders said. Since Whitebeard is holding hands, they may not do it for a short time. Do you want my martial artist to pretend to be from the Black Crow pirates to do it on Charlotte Linlin and stir up the emotions of those people below them? They become mortal enemies. If you want to be hostile to both sides, the best way is for both sides to become mortal enemies. There are many ways to become a mortal enemy, such as pretending to be a person on one side, working on the other side, and continuing. After a long time, it will inevitably be evil. They do a lot of this kind of thing. Many of Locke's internal strife was caused by them. And Charlotte Linlin and Ye Chen are inherently contradictory. If they provoke the emotions of the people on both sides, it is likely to explode. It's not enough. Tachi Five Elders pushed his glasses, and said, this kind of thing is okay once or twice. If there are more, they will find out, and neither side is a fool. Of course this matter is still going on, but we can still contact Charlotte Linlin and tell her that we can work together to solve Ye Chen. According to this guy's personality, it is estimated that Ye Chen has been dissatisfied for a long time, and it is estimated that he has long wanted to kill Ye Chen. If we can provide combat power, this guy will readily agree. Although they didn't know what might happen to the Tea Party, and they didn't know the internal discussions, but they guessed. Charlotte Linlin and Ye Chen estimate that under the mediation of the two parties, a reconciliation is very likely. Especially when Charlotte Linlin is not as strong as the other party. But, if they can provide combat power, that's not necessarily the case. For example, the use of a Sea Emperor level combat power, or 2 or 3 Admiral level combat power, is enough to make Charlotte Linlin tempted. Agree. That's a good idea. Just do it. The other 5 elders are also perverted. They think the idea of 5 elders is good and can be executed. And they also know Charlotte Linlin. If they really do and Charlotte Linlin, they will definitely agree to start a war. Together with the pirates, 5 elders have done it many times. Shanks is one of them. So he has no burden. Although the Tea Party has not yet started. But the undercurrent has long been surging in the dark. The conspiracy against Ye Chen also gradually unfolded. Chapter 113. Marine Headquarters. What the hell does this old fellow Whitebeard want to do? Sengoku looked at the information in his hand with a sad face, and it was about the Blue Island Tea Party. The 4 emperors gathered. This was the first time in decades, and this time it was Whitebeard taking the lead, which made Sengoku, who knows Whitebeard, have to think more. What does this guy want to do? Is it possible to be like Rock's pirate for decades? For people like them who have experienced Rock's pirate, the first reaction to the Blue Island Tea Party is Rock's pirate. Because Rock's pirate used to do this too. Only after the guy Ye Chen appeared, the sea became more and more restless. After a while, there was a shock human news. Sengoku rubbed his temples and felt a headache. Only after Ye Chen appeared, too much happened. Kill celestial dragons, defeat Kaido, the appearance of Pluto, and now the 4 emperors gather. These are big things that shake the whole world. During the 20 years, although there were a lot of things, none of them could match the previous one. If I really want to say it, only the pirates of the sun went to the Holy Land Mary Geois and liberated the slaves. The appearance of Ye Chen broke the calm of the sea. Also muddled the water. Even Whitebeard, his most assured sea emperor, seemed to have trouble. This made Sengoku feel a headache. He didn't know if something earth-shattering would happen again in the future. Just now, there was a knock on the door. Come in. A marine general walked in and whispered, Marshal Sengoku, a pirate named Blackbeard begs to see you, and he asked me to bring you a sentence, saying that you will definitely agree to meet you. Single quote. What is it? He said he had captured Ace, the captain of the 2nd Division of the Whitebeard Pirates, and he wanted to exchange it for Shichibukai's identity. The marine general said in a deep voice. The voice fell. Sengoku's calm face changed slightly, his pupils shrank, he stood up suddenly, and said in a low voice, let him come to see me, and tell him to remember to bring Ace. Yes. After General Marine exited, Sengoku's expression changed, and he murmured, I didn't expect Roger's son to be caught in this way. Ace can't be released, but Shichibukai's identity is a bit troublesome. I need to ask 5 elders for instructions. Shichibukai is under the jurisdiction of the world government, and Marine has no right to appoint or order Shichibukai. And so, if you want Blackbeard to become Shichibukai, that must be agreed by 5 elders. But Sengoku felt that 5 elders would agree, because Ace's identity was there. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Although not many people know, both 5 elders and him know Ace's identity. Immediately, Sengoku contacted 5 elders. Quickly. The phone worm on the desktop appeared with an uninjured and majestic face, and said with a majestic voice, what's the matter, Sengoku? Upon seeing this, Sengoku will roughly tell 5 elders about the matter. After listening, the 5 elders pondered for a moment and whispered, tell Blackbeard, as long as Ace brings the marine headquarters, Shichibukai's identity will be given to him. Single quote. 5 elders is also very decisive. He agreed directly. Sengoku was no accident, because the identity of Ace is there. Roger's blood. Master 5 elders, what about Ace? Sengoku whispered, should be dealt with silently, or be executed publicly like Roger. Public execution. 5 elders snorted coldly and said, the new world is not peaceful recently, and the old guy Whitebeard is also doing things. We can't let them do what they want and inform the world, just saying that they will be executed publicly at Marine headquarters, in order to his character will definitely come to the rescue. Single quote. And you have to be prepared to welcome the Whitebeard pirates. If they do come, it's best to keep Whitebeard. It's time to calm New World for a while. 5 elders was overjoyed when Ace was caught. They are planning to take action on New World, but they haven't found a good way, but now that Ace is caught, it is obviously a good way to get to the door. Roger's son, coupled with Whitebeard's character, using Ace as a bait, will definitely attract Whitebeard, and at the same time directly destroy Whitebeard. 0 Find flowers 0. Whitebeard, aren't you going to protect Ye Chen? I just don't like you. As long as Whitebeard dies, New World will definitely not calm down, and Ye Chen will not have time to develop. Once Whitebeard dies, they can provoke Charlotte Linlin and let them go to war with Ye Chen, so that they can consume Ye Chen's strength. If Charlotte Linlin doesn't work, then go to Kaido. One of the 5 emperors is not good, but 2 are still good after all. Shanks, they won't move for now. Because they have the rest of cooperation with Shanks. Yes, Sengoku has some doubts about why 5 elders is so troublesome. Although Ace's identity is not simple, there is no need to execute the sentence publicly at Marine headquarters, right? It's just that this was an order from 5 elders. Even if he was dissatisfied, even if he was confused, he could only accept it. And, after knowing this, Sengoku could have anticipated the bloody storm after a while. As the first pirate group, Whitebeard is not kidding. In particular, Whitebeard himself is powerful, and if it breaks out in an all-round way, it will be easy to destroy the entire Marine headquarters. To face this war, they need to prepare a lot. The time for the Kanglan Island Tea Party is getting closer and closer. The eyes of the world are also focused on this. Because this time is important, the 4 emperors gather. This is nothing. And, countless people also know what exactly the Tea Party intends to do this time, and what is the purpose. And, will the conflict between Charlotte Linlin and Ye Chen be resolved in this tea conversation? What role do Shanks and Whitebeard play? Or maybe. Is it the same as the rumors, this is the 3 emperors teaming up to get rid of Ye Chen? There was a lot of talk, and there was no clear statement, and the 4 emperors did not appear to confirm anything. To this, in the near time, countless people are watching Kanglan Island. Force. Chapter 114. Blue Island. Although there used to be a country here, Kanglan Island was deserted only after it was destroyed. Liao is uninhabited, no one all year round. And sometimes, passing ships may stop to recuperate again. Nowadays, although Kanglan Island is not very lively. But there are 3 ships moored ashore. The 3 ships have clear-cut flags, one is a skull with a white crescent beard, and the other is a skull with 3 scars on its eyes, and 2 blades intersect on the back. As for the last one is the pirate flag with pink hair, a hat, and bright lipstick. Red hair pirates, Whitebeard pirates, Bigmom pirates. The 3 great pirates are all sea emperors who surpassed New World. In the past, it was impossible for the 3 emperors to gather together. Even when the 2 emperors gather together, there are few cousins. And this time, the 3 emperors gathered. At this time, on the top of a hill on the island, a blanket made of animals that I don't know was spread out. On a round table inside, 3 figures with 3 breaths were sitting. The 3 are majestic, with the domineering Haki. Whitebeard, Charlotte Linlin, red hair. 3 great pirate emperors. Behind the 3 of them, each stood a figure. Marco, Beckman, Kata Curry. The respective emperors' mates may not be as powerful as the 3, but they should not be underestimated. Whitebeard, we have been waiting here for 3 hours. We haven't seen the kid Ye Chen yet. Is this guy really coming? Charlotte Linlin looked gloomy, looked around, and said, how do I feel this guy is letting you dove? An agreed time today. Charlotte Linlin arrived 3 hours ago. She thought she was the latest. Who knew Ye Chen was later than her? Know that he is the furthest away. Ye Chen is considered the nearest. It's only 3 hours, don't be so grumpy. Shanks said. Ye Chen has agreed, so he will definitely come over. It is impossible to release the pigeons. He should know the consequences of releasing the pigeons, and I have been waiting for a day. What are you worried about in 3 hours? Single quote. Whitebeard probably has been waiting for 2 days. He was the second to arrive, and Whitebeard was the first. Because it is the initiator. Whitebeard arrived a little earlier. Simultaneously, Shanks is not afraid that Ye Chen will release their pigeons. After all, this is of no benefit to Ye Chen. And it will directly offend the 3 sea emperors. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. No matter how you look at it, the gains outweigh the losses. Hey, wait a minute, Linlin, this guy is probably coming soon, and at the speed of Galileo, it probably won't take long. Whitebeard took a sip of wine and said with a smile, what's more, it's still a long time. It's not noon now. He and Shanks are a little indifferent. It's not noon yet. This means that the time has not arrived yet, so be it later. But Charlotte Linlin couldn't bear it. This time the tea party was originally organized because of Ye Chen. And Ye Chen is the closest to here. Even if she didn't arrive first, it was even later than the one who was the furthest away. And I don't know when Ye Chen will arrive. They don't know where Ye Chen is now. Only you can tolerate this guy. Charlotte Linlin snorted coldly and said, this guy just didn't plan to solve the problem. If he really planned to solve the problem, he should have arrived. On the surface, Charlotte Linlin is angry because Ye Chen is late. But inwardly, Charlotte Linlin screamed in her heart, better not to come. It is best to release the pigeons directly. Anger goes to anger, but for Charlotte Linlin's own interests, it is the best benefit for Ye Chen not to come. Because as long as Ye Chen doesn't come, it is tantamount to indirectly offending Red Hair and Whitebeard, if Ye Chen really intends to do something with him in the future. The two will not sit idly by. After all, Ye Chen didn't give them face. In addition, Ye Chen's actions during this period are enough for them to get started. You are still too anxious. Whitebeard's expression was calm, his golden eyes were calm, and he said faintly, Ye Chen will not be here now. The voice fell off. Everyone suddenly raised their heads. I saw a huge figure in the sky passing through the clouds and stopping in front of everyone. This figure is extremely large, covering almost the entire island. The huge figure stopped in the sky and plunged everything below into the shadows. This is Galio. Rumor has it that the body is the size of an island. This is too big, right? Even stronger than the giants. Is he really a creature? It feels like sea kings can be compared. See the giant in the sky. The people on the 3 pirate boats talked a lot. Although they had heard of Galio, it was the first time they met. Just like the rumors, Galio's stature was astonishingly large, covering almost the entire island. See this scene. Everyone's eyes widened. Is this still a living thing? Surprisingly able to grow up like this, it is estimated that the giants look like a villain in front of him. The sea kings in the deep sea may be comparable to him. It's just that sea kings is not as smart as Galio, at least speaking is impossible. Everyone, I seem to be late. A heroic voice sounded like thunder, resounding all around. The 3 of us have been waiting for you for a long time. Whitebeard said to the sky, get down quickly, and Galio will restrain yourself. It is good. The voice fell off. Galio's figure gathered and shrank. It quickly became a size twice as large as the usual number of people, and then moved towards the top of the mountain. Galio fell in midair, and Ye Chen and Ulquiorra on their backs jumped off. The moment it landed, the 2 of them dissipated. In the blink of an eye, I arrived in front of everyone. Ye Chen walked to the only free position and sat down, and said lightly, something happened on the way here, so some of them were late. Hearing these words, the corners of everyone's lips twitched. What can be on the road? And it's still flying in the sky, and it's even more unlikely that any accident will happen. It was probably Ye Chen who came by himself. However, everyone didn't say anything, because this kind of thing is useless and can't affect much. Chapter 115. Ye Chen smiled slightly and looked around at the crowd. He had already met Charlotte Linlin and Kaido in Banner Town. And Beckman, Shanks, Marco, and Whitebeard were all the first time I met. These 4 people. Everyone's breath is not simple, Whitebeard is burly, Haki is full, and he knows that he is not an easy character at first glance. Shanks is a bit more reserved. If you don't observe in depth, you will think that a middle-aged person is optimistic and desolate. However, if you observe in depth, you will find that this person is not simple, with a deep introverted aura, and possesses an extremely terrifying power. To say that Whitebeard is a very Haki person on the surface, but Shanks is just the opposite. His Haki is in the depths. One is bright and the other is dark. As the person who has cultivated to the highest level in Conqueror's Haki, it is impossible to say that Shanks is not Haki. It's just that his performance is not so obvious. The guy Shanks hides really deep. His strength should be about the same as Whitebeard, maybe a little bit worse than 09, but not much difference. People outside say that Shanks is the weakest Sea Emperor. Ye Chen sneered at this matter. As for the weakest Sea Emperor, Shanks is not yet his turn. Charlotte Linlin is. For the Emperor, if Ulquiorra is excluded, Beckman should be the strongest. This guy does have the same aura as Shanks, but he probably hasn't really stepped into that level yet. Ye Chen glanced at the other Emperor lieutenants. Kaido and Marco are both strong, both at the Admiral level, but Beckman is even better. If it is based on fantasy, Beckman stepped into the level of the Sea Emperor with 1 foot. It should be called a half-emperor. Hey, now that everyone is here, let's start the tea conversation. Whitebeard let out a signature smile, then took a pot of wine and drank. Shanks and Charlotte Linlin followed closely behind. See this scene. Ye Chen's mouth twitched. Isn't it a tea party? Since it's a tea conversation, shouldn't you drink tea, right? What's the matter with drinking? Ye Chen murmured silently from the bottom of his heart, but on the surface he didn't say anything. He also picked up a pot of wine and drank. Since everyone is here, and what is the reason for the tea conversation, everyone should be clear. The conflict with Charlotte Linlin is not impossible to solve, but it requires Charlotte Linlin to pay some price. The words came out. Charlotte Linlin's face turned dark. She didn't expect Ye Chen to be so strong. She would talk about this when she came over, and also named her to pay the price. Ye Chen, you don't really think that my old lady is a vegetarian? Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Charlotte Linlin gritted her teeth and said, why should the old lady pay the price? When the old lady was the Emperor of the Sea, you probably weren't born yet. Ye Chen opened her mouth and made her pay, and Charlotte Linlin couldn't bear it immediately. Why am I? Everyone is the Emperor of the Sea, and she has done nothing wrong, why should she pay the price? Not to mention, to let the past snatch Hades, this is what Ye Chen said himself. Why? Ye Chen sneered and said faintly. Just because I am better than you, if you don't want to, then we can fight like Kaido, but this time you may not be as lucky as Kaido. Perhaps you will become the first Dead Sea Emperor in decades. And you don't need to use age to suppress me. The more you say this, it will only show that you are incompetent. At my age, You were still under someone else's ship, and I have become the Emperor of the Sea, and you are more than me. I have lived for decades, but I am not weak in strength. Do you think you are incompetent? Suddenly. Charlotte Linlin's face flushed red, a horrible breath erupted from her body, and all the overriding aura erupted. A hurricane rolled up all around and swept in all directions. Above the sky, the clear sky of thousands of miles instantly turned into a dark cloud pressure realm, the frantic electric snake was shining, and a sense of suffocation burst out, as if the end had come. The Emperor was angry, and the sky changed drastically. Bang bang bang. The breath of horror spread out, and the pirates on the 3 ships on the shore of the island were instantly dissipated, their eyes widened, and they fell down one after another. Conqueror's Haki, what is going on inside the island? This breath is terrible, right? My mother is angry. When Conqueror's Haki came out, most of the people fell one after another. There are only a few people who can clench their teeth and persist, but facing this Conqueror's Haki, not many people can persist. And these people are the elites of the big pirate groups. It's just that their persistence is also difficult. At this time, a furious voice sounded. Ye Chen, is it possible that you really think I am a vegetarian? You provoke me again and again. If you really want to go to war, I will fulfill you. I can't ask for it. Almost at the same time. A cold snort sounded, and an almost substantial Reiatsu fell from the sky and spread out. This breath is more terrifying than the previous breath, and it is even more vast. On the ship, people who were still struggling to persevere fell one after another, even some cadres. Under this breath, no one could stand up. All fall down. Everyone looked at the depths of the island in amazement. In this breath, they seemed to feel that they were carrying a mountain on their backs, and their bodies could not hold onto it. They could only fall on the ground and couldn't move. If the previous Conqueror's Haki had a mental shock, Ye Chen's Reiatsu was physical oppression. The former loses consciousness directly, and the latter makes them unable to control their bodies. At this time, on the top of the mountain, the 2 breaths clashed against each other, constantly clashing. Ye Chen and Charlotte Linlin both stared at each other, full of anger. Even Linlin is going to be disadvantaged. Ye Chen's strength is beyond our expectations. Whitebeard looked at Ye Chen deeply. Although it was just a breathtaking encounter, they could see some clues that Charlotte Linlin was not Ye Chen's opponent. And the most terrifying thing is, he could see that Ye Chen didn't exert all his strength. The strength of this man exceeded their expectations. What a terrible man, no wonder Whitebeard thinks he might surpass Captain Roger. Shanks sighed in his heart. He was still hesitant about Whitebeard's evaluation of Ye Chen before, but after this contact, he also admitted that Ye Chen might indeed surpass Roger. And it's still a sure thing. This man is terrible. Chapter 116. Don't use your breath to press me down. When you are in Banner Town, you should understand that your Conqueror's Haki is not worth mentioning in front of me. Ye Chen's eyes flashed with a ray of light, and a powerful breath suddenly burst out of his body. This is Conqueror's Haki. He used only Reiatsu before, and Conqueror's Haki did not appear. Right now, with the blessing of Conqueror's Haki and Reiatsu, Ye Chen's breath became extremely terrifying. Although his face was calm, he exuded an extremely powerful pressure. This coercion can sweep everything and suppress everything. Charlotte Linlin's Conqueror's Haki was crushed completely under this pressure, and could not be stopped at all. Puff. Charlotte Linlin's face changed slightly, her face turned pale, her eyes flashed with terror. Under this pressure, her spirit was instantly breached, causing her to suffer severely, and she couldn't help but vomit blood. Blood erupted and fell on the tabletop. Almost at the same time. The Emperor's face behind the 4 was so good looking, his face was cold and sweaty, as if he was under great pressure, and the suffocation-like sense of oppression poured in, making it a very difficult task for them to even stand. Katakuri, Marco. Both of them were shaky, as if they were about to fall down. Damn it, what is this Conqueror's Haki, is it stronger than Dad's? Marco cried out in his heart that it was the first time he saw such a powerful Conqueror's Haki, and even Whitebeard's fully opened Conqueror's Haki, in front of this breath, seemed to have become insufficient. And this coercion only spread to them, and did not directly attack them, otherwise they would probably fall. Don't you see the center of volatility? Charlotte Linlin can't bear it anymore. A lot of blood was spit out. At first glance, it was deeply hit. Among the Emperor's deputy, Beckman feels better than Marco and the others, although his face is a little pale, but he can hold on without swaying like Marco and the others. As for Ulquiorra, Shanks, Whitebeard, these have been standing in the presence of the Emperor of the Sea, but there is not much influence. And let alone Ulquiorra, his face is calm, without any fluctuations, as if this coercion does not exist. This makes Whitebeard and Shanks look different. This person is definitely the rank of the Sea Emperor. Ye Chen's coercion is extremely terrifying. If it is not the Sea Emperor level, it would not be so peaceful. What a group of monsters. Shanks cursed in his heart. Ye Chen was already a monster, and now there is the monster Ulquiorra. The strength of the 2 is unfathomable, far beyond their imagination. At the beginning, they thought that the 2 talents had just entered the level of Sea Emperor. Now it seems, this is what they have thought about. Even if they are, they dare not say that they are better than these 2. Compared to Shanks, Whitebeard was very excited, a touch of appreciation in his eyes. The unparalleled talent and strength, if Ye Chen, should be able to do what we can't do. Ye Chen's strength showed that Whitebeard didn't know what to say. Because it was unheard of. Even if it were him and Roger, they were considered the most talented people in decades. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. But at this age, his strength is not as good as Ye Chen. This is even true for Locks. At this age, although it is not to say that it is playing mud, but it is only a small person. Ye Chen is already at the top of the world. To this, Whitebeard is even more convinced of his choice. The man in front of him is absolutely capable of doing things they can't do. Even the expectations of a few people may be realized in the hands of Ye Chen. And the era of the big pirates that Roger surrendered and guided, finally ushered in the answer. This is Whitebeard's own thinking. Everyone had different thoughts, after a short time of thinking. Shanks and Whitebeard released their breath for the first time, suppressing the breath of both. Gu la la la, Lin, as a veteran strong, you should also understand the weak and the strong. Whitebeard smiled faintly. Strength is supreme. In the face of strength, everything is frothy, regardless of age or seniority. Whitebeard, do you mean let me give in to this kid? Upon hearing Whitebeard's words, Charlotte Linlin was furious. What's the joke? Everyone is the emperor of the sea. Why should I give in to this guy? Just now, Ye Chen's eyes condensed, and a mental shock wave erupted. There was a bang. Charlotte Linlin screamed again and again, clutching her head and screaming. Say another little devil, no one can save you. Ye Chen looked at Charlotte Linlin murderously. Kid, who is the kid? It's just a few dozen years older than him. Dare to be arrogant in front of him. See this scene. Neither Shanks nor Whitebeard said anything. Because what Charlotte Linlin did was indeed a bit unreliable, both of them were sea emperors, so it was indeed a bit provocative to directly call the kid. If there is a gap between the status of the two sides, Charlotte Linlin said that, but no one said anything. Of course, if you want to talk about the gap, it is estimated that Charlotte Linlin is worse than Ye Chen. The strength lies there. This is also the benefit of strength. As long as you are strong enough, the so-called seniority and age are nothing. Just because of this, Charlotte Linlin converged. She looked at Shanks and whispered, your opinion is the same as Whitebeard. She didn't expect Whitebeard anymore. She could see that Whitebeard seemed to be biased towards Ye Chen's side. It was a bit whimsical to unite with Whitebeard. Since Whitebeard and Ye Chen may be together, she can only win over Shanks, although Shanks has only become the emperor of the sea in recent years. But the strength is there, it should not be underestimated, not much weaker than her, or even better. I don't think they have done anything wrong. Pluto itself was obtained by Ye Chen first. If you grab it, you will naturally have to pay some price. And this is a matter for both of you, I won't be involved. Shanks said lightly. He didn't want to go in this muddy water. Although he is not very afraid of Ye Chen and them, there is no need to get the money to offend Ye Chen because of Charlotte Linlin. Because the two sides are not familiar at all. I have never seen it before. Why bother because of a stranger, or even a former enemy, to offend an existence like Ye Chen? This requires a great price. Hear the words. Charlotte Linlin's face turned dark, staring at the two of them closely, a little sad in her heart. When she came, she planned to unite these two people against Ye Chen. I thought it was Ye Chen's grand feast. Now it seems. This is Ye Chen's Hongmen banquet, but her Hongmen banquet. No one dares to ignore the three sea emperors. Whitebeard can't. Ye Chen can't. Nor can her Charlotte Linlin. Right now. She has been driven to a dead end. Of course, she has other ways, and that is to fight Ye Chen, but this is even more uneconomical. Because she knows that once the war starts by coincidence, they have no chance of winning here, and they are bound to lose. Chapter 117. Now Charlotte Linlin has two choices. One is to go to war with Ye Chen. This is very likely to drive them to a dead end. Although Ye Chen's Black Crow Pirates has just begun to expand. But everyone present understands it. If it's about the strength of the power. The Black Rook Pirates is obviously better, even Whitebeard can't compare it. 2 Admiral level combat power, 2 Sea Emperor level combat power. These 4 top combat powers are enough to destroy everything. Although they have many forces under their command, these forces really want to pit Ye Chen and the others. It's still a lot worse. It is obviously not realistic to start a war with Ye Chen. Because in this case, they will all die. As for another option, that is to pay a big price to Ye Chen. This price is not Bailey's problem, there is also a chassis problem. At the same time, there are face problems. Once she did. Later, when facing Ye Chen, he couldn't hold his head up and was inherently weaker. Yield. This is the last thing they want to see, and the last thing they want to see. Charlotte Linlin knows very well that if she chooses this option, there will be no rumors on the sea. Although she is not very afraid of these things, they still have an influence on the forces below. One is death, one is live, it's just that the way of living is a bit wronged and sad. But still alive after all. Thought for a moment. Charlotte Linlin made a decision in her heart. She took a deep breath, and said in a deep voice, I can make up for you for the Banner Town affairs. She finally succumbed. Although Charlotte Linlin is usually crazy, but in the face of life-threatening circumstances, she had to give in. Because she doesn't do much. The words came out. Shanks and Whitebeard flashed their eyes and breathed a sigh of relief in their hearts. They don't really want to see Ye Chen and Charlotte Linlin go to war. Because it is not good for both parties. Moreover, once the Emperor of the Sea is dead, the impact on New World will be too great. Okay, Charlotte Linlin finally succumbed. All this can be spared. I heard Charlotte Linlin succumb. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Ye Chen was disappointed in his eyes. He actually hoped that Charlotte Linlin would not surrender, so that he could do it. But now that Charlotte Linlin has surrendered, there is no way. Shanks and Whitebeard are watching. Although these two guys said they didn't participate. But if he insists on going to war now, the two of them will not be able to sit back and watch. Although he was very confident in his own strength, facing the 3 sea emperors, he was indeed a little reluctant. 5 billion Baileys, a site in 5 sea areas. Ye Chen stretched out 5 fingers and said faintly, "This is the price you paid. As long as these things are given to me, I can treat the things that have happened before." Quote. Ye Chen, your request is a bit too big. Charlotte Linlin glared at Ye Chen, and said in a deep voice, 30 billion Baileys, 3 sea areas. For the Emperor of the Sea, 50 billion is also a big expenditure. Of course, she still took out 50 billion. But the 5 sea areas really made her a little unbearable. This is already 1/3 of her territory. Although the 50 billion is gone, she will feel very distressed, but as long as the site is still there, she can pass time to make up the 50 billion from these sites. But once the sites in the 5 sea areas are gone, the loss will be great. Cough. Shanks coughed a few times and whispered, Ye Chen, the 5 sea areas are indeed a bit unacceptable, but I think the 3 sea areas are good. Single quote. Although knowing that Charlotte Linlin will pay a big price. But, Ye Chen's price is too high. Sites in 5 sea areas. This does not know how much Charlotte Linlin lost. Is it too much? I don't think it's too much. Ye Chen said calmly. Compared with his own life, it is the same in many territories. You can rise if you have a territory, but even if you have this world without your life, it is useless. Multiple hammers. I originally planned to take all the land, but now I only take 1/3 of the land, which is very kind. When Ye Chen said these words, everyone looked strange. This is a blatant threat. This is the first time in decades that someone dares to threaten the Emperor of the Sea in this way. But they didn't say anything. Because what Ye Chen said is right, if his life is gone, it will be useless to have many sites. Neither Shanks nor Whitebeard spoke. This is a matter between Ye Chen and Charlotte Linlin. As long as they don't do anything, everything is regardless of their business. Seeing Shanks and Whitebeard drinking silently, Charlotte Linlin's eyes flashed cold, and she whispered, I agree to this condition. After I go back, I will send someone 50 billion to you. As for the 5 sea areas, you will send someone to take over. Talking. Charlotte Linlin got up to leave. Can't stay here anymore. And there is no need to stay any longer. Whitebeard didn't stop. Charlotte Linlin lost so much territory, and there was no need to talk about the next thing. Because when we are going to talk about the division of the site. However, this matter has nothing to do with Charlotte Linlin, because it is impossible for others to give her a site. After Charlotte Linlin went back, the 3 began to discuss the division of the site. It is better to say that it is a division of the territory. It is better to say that the 2 intend to keep Ye Chen from thinking about their territory. Ye Chen also agreed. Because he has gotten a lot. Without doing anything, he got 5 sea areas and 50 billion Baileys. The gain is not small. And, he has offended so many sea emperors, there is no need to offend both of them. No need. He has not yet contended for the strength of the entire New World, and if he has it, it will not be too late to do it. Too much has happened recently. He also needs to rest for a while. In the beginning, it was intended to solve Charlotte Linlin's rest, but now Charlotte Linlin's problem is resolved. He can also be quiet for a short while. The Black Crow Pirates still needs to develop. Then, the teapot on Kanglin Island is also over. Charlotte Linlin and Shanks left Kanglin Island with the personnel. Ye Chen originally planned to leave. But he was stopped by Whitebeard. Chapter 118. Ye Chen, how about a chat between the two of us? Whitebeard grinned, showing a smile, his golden eyes looked at Ye Chen, and said lightly. Hearing this, Ye Chen was a little surprised. He took a deep look at Whitebeard and nodded. Yes. Marco, you go back first, I will chat with Ye Chen temporarily. Good old man. Marco nodded, and a blue flame appeared all over his body. The flame was extremely mysterious, like a liquid, flowing slowly. Marco turned his arms into a pair of cyan wings, and headed towards the pirate ship below. You also wait for me outside. Ye Chen said to Galio and Ulquiorra. Although I don't know what Whitebeard is going to do. But it depends on this situation. Whitebeard intends to chat with him alone for a while. Galio and Ulquiorra nodded and left. Quickly. The huge mountain top. Only Ye Chen and Whitebeard are left. Whitebeard took out a wine glass, poured a glass of wine for Ye Chen, and then poured himself a glass. Picking up the wine glass, Whitebeard took a sip and said, Do you know why I am holding this tea session? Because Ye Chen raised his eyebrows lightly and said lightly. There is no need to guess about this kind of thing, he can guess it. In the original book, without his existence, Whitebeard did not have a tea party. The main reason is that there is not much. The new world in the original book is fairly peaceful, before the protagonist group Luffy and the others arrive. But because of his existence, both the new world and the whole world have undergone earth-shaking changes. You guessed it. It's because of you. Why do you do this? Ye Chen was a little puzzled. This tea session was not good for Whitebeard, not even for Shanks. But they still come. To some extent. Does this tea conversation also mediate the conflict between him and Charlotte Linlin, or are they both planning to make Charlotte Linlin pay some price? Maybe Charlotte Linlin because this tea conversation is Ye Chen's feast. I thought that Shanks and Whitebeard were dissatisfied with Ye Chen. I want to take this opportunity to suppress Ye Chen. But after coming, Charlotte Linlin just understood. This tea conversation is actually her feast. The target of Shanks and Whitebeard's suppression was not Ye Chen, but him. Because of the tea conversation, she paid a lot of money. I want New World to calm down for a while. Whitebeard said lightly. Because of your appearance, New World has seen more major events than in the past 10 years combined. The defeat of Kaido, the appearance of Pluto, and the killing of celestial dragons have not happened in the past 10 years. Now you are in conflict with Charlotte Linlin again. If we don't stop you, New World won't know what earth-shaking changes will happen in the future. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. These are things Shanks and I don't want to see. Of course you insist on going to war with Charlotte Linlin, and we won't stop you. But I hope you are clear, don't underestimate any Sea Emperor. Although your current strength can crush BIGMOMG, it does not mean that you can win intact. Your side will inevitably be hit hard, and at this time the world government will not just sit back and watch. As an organization that has ruled for 800 years, the foundation of the world government is beyond your imagination. Now because of the high-end combat power in your hands, the world government will be a little bit afraid, because they have no full confidence in solving you, but one of you and Ulquiorra suffered a serious injury, then the situation is different. Ye Chen and Charlotte Linlin once went to war. New World must be affected. This is what Whitebeard didn't want to see. Simultaneously. He didn't want to see Ye Chen's combat power being damaged, giving the world government a chance. I don't understand Whitebeard. Ye Chen smiled lightly and his eyes flickered. If I go to war with Charlotte Linlin, even if we win miserably, this is not a good thing for you. This allows you both to have more territory. He couldn't understand. Didn't the Sea Emperors compete with each other? There are people who still think about their enemies. It's funny. From my position, if you go to war, we do have a great chance. Hearing Ye Chen's questioning, Whitebeard didn't care. He had already guessed these things. It's just that I am not thinking about the position of the Sea Emperor. I don't understand what Shanks is thinking, but his opinion is the same as mine, and he doesn't want you to fight Charlotte Linlin now. Speaking of which, Whitebeard picked up the jug, took a heavy sip, and said in a deep voice, and I mean it's very simple. I don't want you to do it with Charlotte Linlin now. Single quote. Maybe you don't believe it. Although we are all standing in the same position, I hope you can develop and even become a person who can lead this new world. I want you to be the One Piece. Heard these words. Zero find flowers zero. Ye Chen's mouth slightly opened. Want me to be One Piece? What the hell is this? Aren't you optimistic about Ace? And it's the first time I've seen you. Is it really okay for me to be the One Piece? Ye Chen had guessed Whitebeard's purpose, but only did not guess that Whitebeard had such a stupid purpose. Stupid. It's just a little stupid. Because he didn't know Whitebeard, he might still know Whitebeard, but Whitebeard didn't know anything about his character. He thought he could become the One Piece, and even helped him by offending Charlotte Linlin. This is a bit outrageous. If Kaido said, Ye Chen would sneer and would not believe it. But what Whitebeard said, he believed it. Because this guy is different from other Sea Emperors. People who can be considered upright are not Kaido's backfighting guys. Are you surprised? Seeing Ye Chen's dumbfounded eyes, Whitebeard gave it a little. Hear this. Ye Chen is a bit speechless. Is everyone surprised? Even if you talk to Charlotte Linlin now. It's the same with Kaido, Shanks said. Can you tell me why? BWGB. B. I don't seem to know you. Is it the first time we met today? Ye Chen said. These are not important. Whitebeard said faintly. Although we have not met before, but this time I have already determined my thoughts. You guys are different from those of Kaido. Although you are not a good person, you are not a bad person. You just have to have these. Quote. Moreover, your talent and strength are enough to make me value you so much. With your current talent, it is very possible to reach the realm in the legend, and you will find Ralph Drew, so as to realize the expectations of those people in 800 years. Speaking of which, Whitebeard's eyes flickered, and he looked at Ye Chen deeply. From Whitebeard's gaze, Ye Chen actually saw a glimmer of hope and hope. That's right, just hope, although very nonsense. This is indeed the look. It's just a pity. Whitebeard's hopes are destined to be impossible. Ye Chen took a deep breath and said faintly, if it's the secret of the D family, it's not necessary, I can't help the D family resuscitate. Because I am not a member of the D family, and I also know the secret of 100 years of blankness. The words came out. Whitebeard was shocked, his pupils shrank, and his heart was shocked. The man in front of him seems to know some secrets. Force. Chapter 119. Does he know the secret of Lovedrew? Whitebeard frowned. It was impossible. Roger told him the secrets of Lovedrew. If it weren't for Roger, he wouldn't know these secrets. What he didn't understand was how did Ye Chen know? The secret of the D clan is only recorded in Lovedrew. Unless we have been to Lovedrew, it is impossible to know this secret. Is it possible that Ye Chen has been to Lovedrew? Only if Ye Chen has been to Lovedrew, it is possible to know the secrets of Clan D. Have you been to Lovedrew? Whitebeard hesitated, staring at Ye Chen and said in a deep voice. The secrets of the D family have been sealed off by the world government for 800 years. Only Lovedrew has 100 years of blank news, that is, the secrets of the D family. In addition, there may be records in the depths of the government of 187 in the world. However, the records in the depths of the world government are obviously not something Ye Chen can peek at. Those who can know these secrets are probably the top leaders of the world government. For example, some of the lofty celestial dragons are 5 elders. Other than that, the others don't know. Even those ordinary celestial dragons are the same. Sengoku is even more unlikely to know. Although Sengoku is the leader of Marine, it is not qualified to be exposed to such secrets in the world government. Since world government is impossible, then the secret source of the D clan that Ye Chen can know is Lovedrew. It's just that the road to Lovedrew has long been closed. Unless the 4 red stones are assembled, it is possible to interpret Lovedrew's course. It's just that the red stones are in their hands, and it seems unlikely that the rest of the people want to go to Lovedrew. Never been. Ye Chen shook his head and said faintly, but I don't need to go to that place, because I know everything recorded in it. It's nothing more than the record of the destruction of the D clan. The world government was established by overthrowing the D clan's kingdom. Of course these are all nonsense by Ye Chen. He didn't know exactly what Ralph Drew recorded, after all, the original book hadn't reached this place yet. It's just that he can probably guess it too. It is estimated to be related to the D family. After all, read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. The original work has always mentioned the particularity of the D family, and the elder O'Hara said before he died that an extremely large kingdom was destroyed 800 years ago, and the news of this kingdom, world government it has been eliminated for 800 years. One of the D family, the kingdom. Associated with these, Ye Chen could guess what Ralph Drew recorded. And when Whitebeard looked for him, Ye Chen faintly guessed the words that he said. It seems that this guy Roger told him some news that he wanted him to become the inheritor of the D clan and thus destroy the world government. Whitebeard's idea is good, I just think too much. He can destroy the world government, but it is impossible in the name of the D clan, and even less in the name of revenge. So if Whitebeard wanted to give him the responsibility of the D family, he would think too much. It's better to just give it to the protagonist group just like Shanks. And through Whitebeard's words, he roughly guessed that Roger was surprised to see the news of Lovedrew. It's just that Roger also knows that it is impossible to overthrow the world government by virtue of the Roger pirates, and then add his own terminal illness. So first surrender to Marine. And he also knows that Marine may continue to expand Marine's influence and at the same time suppress the pirates. To this, during the execution, Roger yelled out the words that opened the era of the great pirates. The purpose is to use this method to find an existence that is equal to or stronger than him, so that when it reaches Lovedrew, after knowing the secret, it will execute the plan to destroy the world government. Seeing Ye Chen's talent and strength, Whitebeard estimated that Ye Chen was the person Roger was looking for, so he hugged Charlotte Linlin directly when he offended him. So Ye Chen was advised not to consume too much energy and let it develop slowly. It's just that Whitebeard thinks too much. Ye Chen couldn't be the one Roger was waiting for. You even know it. Whitebeard sucked in a cold breath, and a wry smile appeared on his face. I knew the news back then, and it was Roger told me when he came back from Lovedrew. It just didn't tell me much, it just told me about the one from 800 years ago. The secret of the kingdom, and he also said that he would like to use a long time to choose a character who can surpass him and help the D clan revenge Zero. After you appeared, after showing your super strength and influence, I always thought you were that person, but now it seems that I am a little wishful. Whitebeard could hear that Ye Chen knew the secret of the D clan for a long time, but Ye Chen was not a D clan, and he was not interested in the so-called 800-year secret. Gu. Whitebeard took a swig and grinned and said, it's just Ye Chen, I want to ask you a question, do you plan to replace the world government? Single quote. When I see your one, I always feel that you have ambitions that we don't have, and this ambition is even stronger than Kaido. I do have this plan. A deep color flashed in Ye Chen's eyes, and he laughed wildly and said, no kingdom can last. Time will wipe out these kingdoms. Back then, the kingdom of the D family was replaced by the world government, and the world government will follow suit sooner or later. The same as the D family, and I will be the one to replace him. The world government has existed for too long, and its lifespan is almost over. Replace world government. This is Ye Chen's ambition. In fact, it is normal to have this kind of ambition. For example, Kaido and Golden Lion Shiki have this ambition, but their strength cannot support their ambition, so they did not succeed. But Ye Chen is different. He has enough strength, although his current strength is not enough to destroy the entire world government. But in the future, it will only be continuously strengthened until the entire world government is replaced. Heard these words, Whitebeard took a deep look at Ye Chen. This man really had this ambition as he thought. It's just that his ambition is the same as others, with enough possibilities. To say that someone can replace world government in the future. Whitebeard thinks Ye Chen absolutely. None of the others will work. Chapter 120. The recovery of the D family has nothing to do with me, and I never thought that you can help the D family resuscitate. After all, you are not a member of the D family. Whitebeard looked at Ye Chen deeply, and said with a heavy tone, in fact, Roger's thoughts are similar to mine. We don't report that we expect the D clan to recover. All we think is that in this era of great voyages, someone can stand up. To subvert world government, someone can replace world government. From the beginning, Whitebeard never thought that Ye Chen would help Clan D recover. After all, Ye Chen is not a member of Clan D. And, in Whitebeard's view, in the huge world, only Ye Chen has the possibility to succeed in the end. It is true that the other Sea Emperors are also very powerful, but in terms of potential, they are far inferior to Ye Chen's. And the rest of the Sea Emperors have reached their peak. If you want to think about a level, it is unrealistic. In addition, the dragon of the Revolutionary Army, Whitebeard is not very optimistic either. In order to subvert the world government, this requires not only a huge force, but also the strength of a final word. Only by surpassing the strength of the Sea Emperor and reaching the highest level in the legend can it be possible to subvert the world government. 09 Among countless strong players, only Ye Chen has this possibility. Strength, talent, potential, it's all there. It's just over 20 years old to have the strength to surpass the world, if it's 10 years or even 20 years later. What extent will Ye Chen reach? None of them can guess. And most importantly, Whitebeard knew that he had come to the end of his life, although he didn't know when it would end. But he knew that he could not live long. He wanted to see someone come out in his limited life, stand up and draw his sword to face the world government that has ruled for 800 years. Ye Chen fits what he thinks, and he would rather offend Charlotte Linlin to help Ye Chen. Whitebeard, your idea is too real. Ye Chen looked at Whitebeard with a weird look, and said faintly, even if I can subvert the world government, can you guarantee that the kingdom I established is not the second world government? Single quote. Human ambition is endless, and human heart is fickle. Whitebeard helped him so much, Ye Chen really couldn't understand it. Is it just because he has the ability to subvert the world government? Are there other things that you don't think about? I don't think about these, and I believe you will not become the second world government. Whitebeard laughed and said, and it's one thing whether you can succeed or not. The world government can rule for 800 years, and the internal heritage is beyond ordinary people's imagination. Single quote. Decades ago, a big pirate who ruled this sea wanted to challenge the world government, but in the end it was defeated without even pushing out the real background of the world government. Single quote. Then you may be disappointed, I am not Locks. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Ye Chen sneered and said, that guy is really strong, but the inside is too messy, and few people listen to him. Single quote. Whitebeard smiled slightly. There is no excuse, because what Ye Chen said is the truth. Back then, Locks looked invincible, and gathered countless strong people, but the internal collapse had long ago. There is no need for the world government to overwork, internal fighting is enough to smooth the entire Rocks pirate. Hope you can prove that you can succeed in the future, and I also hope that you are not the second Locks. Whitebeard said faintly. And if you really have the ambition to subvert the world government, I advise you to strengthen your own power, and don't go to war with the other Sea Emperors in a short time, this will wear down your own strength. This is not a good thing. This is Whitebeard's warning. But Ye Chen didn't listen, that was Ye Chen's business. Although he is willing to help Ye Chen. But after all, Ye Chen is not a subordinate, nor can he interfere excessively. I won't be the second Locks. Ye Chen took a deep look at Whitebeard. Then his figure disappeared. Immediately after Galio leapt into the sky, he turned into a behemoth and headed away. Almost instantly, disappeared at the end of the sky. It didn't take long. Marco, who turned into a phoenix, landed beside Whitebeard, looked at the direction where Galio had left, and said, Father, can this guy Ye Chen really do it in the future? No one knows this. Whitebeard grinned and said, he just has enough potential, but whether he can do it depends on him. But I feel that he will do it. The world government, which has lasted for 800 years, will end in his hands. Well, this matter is over, we will go back now. Talking. Whitebeard took Kong Yun and cut and walked slowly. He doesn't have the ability to fly, and if he wants to go on, he can only go on. Above the sky in the distance, Ye Chen sat on Galio's back, thinking of what Whitebeard had said to him, and couldn't help saying, Whitebeard, you really don't look like a pirate. To be frank, hearing what Whitebeard said, Ye Chen was still very surprised, although he knew that Whitebeard was different from others. But I didn't expect Whitebeard to help him just because he has the potential to subvert the world government. In fact, it is a good thing that he is not with Charlotte Linlin now, because the Black Crow Pirates has enough time to expand. But the contradiction between him and Charlotte Linlin is already there. If you don't do it, it will definitely not work. Don't talk about others, but Ye Chen can't bear it. But now with Whitebeard's intervention, this matter can be temporarily slowed down. It's a pity that you can't stop the war. Ye Chen said to himself in his heart. The news that Ace was caught, he has already known through Doflamingo. Not many people knew the news. It's just that Doflamingo has eyes and ears inside the world government, so he knows this. It is estimated that it will not take long before Ace's arrest will spread all over the world. At that time, it's time for the top war to start. This may be the most tragic and fierce war in recent decades. And the impact is far-reaching. Chapter 121. The Kanglan Island Tea Party has attracted many people. After all, this is the first time in decades that the Emperor of the Sea has gathered so many people. The 4 emperors gathered. Many strengths are extremely concerned, especially the world government. Because if the 4 emperors reached something evil, such as uniting together, it would be very troublesome. After experiencing Rock's Pirate once, they don't want to appear a second Rock's Pirate. Only within a few days after the end. No news came out, only some rumors. For example, what 4 people want to join forces to become the strongest pirate group? Or maybe everyone fought on Kanglan Island. Anyway, there are many rumors, but no one has confirmed them. These rumors have become more and more intense, and many people believe it. It wasn't until the BIGMOM pirate group retreated 5 sea areas and let the Black Crow pirate group take over. Some news finally came out. Kanglan Island Tea Conversation, 4 emperors reached an agreement. The BIGMOM pirates group compensated 50 billion Baileys, plus 5 sea areas for Ye Chen at the expense of the Black Crow pirates group. Beyond this, the Black Crow pirates cannot invade any other people's territory. The news came out, suddenly caused a sensation. What happened to the tea conversation? Why did the Black Crow pirates finally benefit? And this time BIGMOM lost a lot. They lost 5 sea areas. Their current land became the least among the sea emperors. The turf of the Raven pirates has almost become the largest among the sea emperors. The strength of the Black Crow pirates is still maintained. I thought that this time the Black Crow pirates would suffer a loss. I didn't expect that the BIGMOM pirates would suffer the most. On the contrary, the Black Crow pirates became the biggest gainer. The rest of the sea emperors did not change at that time. Except for the person involved, it is estimated that no one knows what happened at that time, but it was reported from the members of the BIGMOM pirate group that when Charlotte Linlin returned, she was extremely angry and almost destroyed the entire Cake Island. This is a shame. 50 billion Baileys plus 5 sea areas, this is almost tantamount to succumbing to the Black Crow pirates. This is unprecedented. Big MOM can only succumb. The strength of the Black Crow pirates is there. The 2 sides really have to go to war. The BIGMOM pirates has no chance of winning, and they will even be annihilated by the other party. That said, it's not that easy for the Black Crow pirates to eat the BIGMOM pirates. They themselves are bound to be hit hard. If they are hit hard, this is the opportunity for the rest of the sea emperors. It's just why Whitebeard and the others can the Black Crow pirates succeeded. If Whitebeard and the others stand behind BIGMOM, I don't think the BIGMOM pirates will give in. Presumably something must have happened in the tea conversation at that time, but only the parties can know what happened. Everyone talked a lot, but they were extremely shocked by BIGMOM. Because this is the first time in decades that a sea emperor has succumbed. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Not to mention the loss of 1/3 of the site, but also the compensation of 50 billion Baileys. This is completely losing one's dignity and using the site and money to buy his life. This is actually right. It's just that most people don't understand why Shanks and Whitebeard don't stand behind Charlotte Linlin. If the 3 of them unite, the Black Crow pirates must not dare to be presumptuous. Not to mention, the 2 of them were also invaded by the Black Crow pirates, and it stands to reason that they should stand behind Charlotte Linlin. After the tea conversation came out, most people felt that Whitebeard and the other sea emperors put pressure on Ye Chen. Did not think of you. In the end, the pressure was not given to Ye Chen. Instead, Ye Chen profited a lot. Holy Land Mary Geois. 5 elders gathered in a room. You have read the latest news. As expected, Whitebeard intends to help Ye Chen, and Charlotte Linlin suffered a heavy loss in this tea conversation. Now Charlotte Linlin is estimated to be extremely dissatisfied with Ye Chen and others. If we join forces with Charlotte Linlin now, this guy will definitely not refuse. The blonde 5 elders said excitedly. He most wants to see this result. Because this result is most beneficial to them. Now Charlotte Linlin has suffered a heavy loss. If they join forces with Charlotte Linlin now, with her character, they will definitely not refuse. After paying so much compensation, Charlotte Linlin suffered heavy losses and lost face. Charlotte Linlin didn't know how much he hated Ye Chen. This is indeed a good thing. Kaido 5 elders pushed his glasses and said with a smile. With Charlotte Linlin joining hands with us, we will be more sure of destroying the Black Crow pirates. The strength of the Black Crow pirates is only short-lived, and it won't be long before they will become history. They liked this result too much. They were also worried that Charlotte Linlin would not agree. But now it seems, Charlotte Linlin will agree 100%. After suffering such a big loss, Charlotte Linlin would not bear it 100%. If there is a chance, she will definitely destroy Ye Chen. Destroy the Black Crow pirates. This is indeed a happy thing. A 5 elders said, it's just that we have to put aside this matter. We are now ready to take action against Whitebeard. His cadres have been arrested. With this guy's character, it must be impossible to sit back and watch. Does Whitebeard like to help Ye Chen? As long as we destroy Whitebeard, we have a greater chance of destroying Ye Chen. This guy has offended many Sea Emperors. Once Whitebeard dies, let alone Charlotte Linlin, it is estimated that Kaido will also come to intervene. As for Shanks, he may not take action, but it is absolutely impossible for him to help Ye Chen. In addition to Ye Chen, the Emperor of the Sea has 4 statues. It was the former 4 emperors. But among the 4 emperors, apart from Whitebeard who might help Ye Chen, 2 of them have blood feuds with Ye Chen. And the last Shanks cooperated with them, it was impossible to help Ye Chen. If Whitebeard died, they believe that as long as they join forces with Kaido and Charlotte Linlin, it is impossible for these guys to refuse. At that time, world government, marine, and the 4 emperors worked together. It is true that the Black Crow Pirates is extremely powerful, and Ye Chen is also extremely powerful. But facing this force, there is absolutely no possibility of survival. Almost. 5 elders and others can already see the scene where the Black Crow Pirates were destroyed by them. Chapter 122. Only after Charlotte Linlin succumbed, the entire New World was shaken. Everyone is amazed by the current changes. The Emperor of the Sea, who surpassed New World, even succumbed. This is unprecedented, even if the object of surrender is the Sea Emperor. But for them, Ye Chen is still a little strange after all. After all, he appeared in only a few months. But Charlotte Linlin has existed in this sea for decades. The deterrence of the 2 sides is completely different. However, Charlotte Linlin's submission also made many people know that the Black Crow Pirates, the pirates that had only appeared for a few months, had already begun to subvert in this world. The strength he possessed made everyone afraid to underestimate. Even, the deterrence of the Black Crow Pirates in New World far exceeds that of the Whitebeard Pirates. The shock of all this comes from the record of the Black Crow Pirates, the defeat of Kaido, and the submission of Charlotte Linlin. None of them showed the strength of the Black Crow Pirates. The current Black Crow Pirates group is described as a huge monster, which is not excessive. At this time, Dressrosa, in a luxurious hall, Doflamingo sits on a sofa with a signature smile on his face. Master Ye Chen, we have completely taken over the 5 sea areas given by Charlotte Linlin, and those who want to resist have also been cleared by us. After taking over the 5 sea areas of Charlotte Linlin, we have become the largest and strongest pirate group in New World. Speaking of which, Doflamingo feels a little unreal. How long has the Black Crow Pirates appeared? 3 months or 4 months? Doflamingo still remembers that a few months ago, when he heard about the pirates of the Black Crow, he didn't really care. Because at that time the Black Crow pirate group had just begun to take shape, and it was still a pirate group that was well known for its great sailing all over the world. For such a pirate group, Doflamingo sees too much. But he didn't expect it. However, within a few months, the Black Crow Pirates had grown to this point. The speed of growth is frightening and frightening. Doflamingo, are you satisfied just like this? Hearing what Doflamingo said, Ye Chen smiled faintly. This is just the beginning. The so-called strongest pirate group is not my pursuit. If you just crossed over, Ye Chen is probably surprised. But after so many things, Ye Chen's vision has broadened, and his mentality has also changed. What about the strongest pirate group? After all, it is still a pirate. He didn't want to be just a pirate. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. He wants to control the whole world. Awakening the palm of the world, drunk lying on the knees of beauty. Becoming the so-called strongest pirate group is just the beginning stage. Heard this sentence. Doflamingo shook his whole body and his pupils shrank. Sure enough, Lord Ye Chen's goal was not like that. Sure enough, his target was the world government, it was Yim. Actually very early, Doflamingo guessed Ye Chen's goal. As an immortal, Ye Chen's goal must be world government, and he wants to replace world government. It's just that Ye Chen hasn't mentioned it all the time, so he didn't say it either. But now Ye Chen said it. This means that Ye Chen has not concealed his ambition. Simultaneously, put another way, Ye Chen is planning to treat him as his own. Master Ye Chen's lesson is that this is an initial stage. Doflamingo smiled and said, I believe Master Ye Chen will definitely go further, even to things that countless people can't do. And I also believe that even the world government can't stop Ye Chen's footsteps. That is inevitable, Ye Chen said faintly. But it's too early to say this, forget about it, is there any big thing happening in the sea now? He hasn't signed into the task now, and he's a little panicked. As for Acedes and Ulquiorra, they both went to conquer the site and suppressed them everywhere. Not in Dressrosa. There are not many major events recently. The biggest one is the disturbance caused by the tea conversation between Lord Ye Chen and the other sea emperors. One is the arrest of Huaquan Ace, but this news has not been announced yet. Not many people know about it yet. Besides, I heard that the supernovas in the first half of the Grand Line seem to have arrived in the Chambord Islands. These guys don't seem to be simple, they have been called the worst generation by countless, and they are also the strongest supernova. Luffy, have they reached the Chambord Islands yet? This is very fast. Ye Chen was a little surprised. Unexpectedly, time flies so quickly, Luffy and the others have arrived in the Chambord Islands. This is a turning point for the protagonist group. The appearance of Kizaru made Luffy and the others realize their weakness. Supernova. Speaking of which, I am considered one of this generation of supernovae. Ye Chen smiled slightly. He has only appeared for a few months, and if you really want to count it, he is indeed a supernova of this generation. It is precisely because of the appearance of Ye Chen that this generation will become the most powerful supernova, and also the worst generation, but these people together cannot be compared with Ye Chen's finger. Although this generation in the original is indeed the worst point. But there is still some controversy. But the appearance of Ye Chen made all these controversies disappear. And Ye Chen, the op fruit abilities are also among the supernovas of this generation. Doflamingo said specifically. Hear the words. Ye Chen said faintly. A capable op fruit. It's the guy named Luo, I remember he has something to do with you. It does have a relationship. If it wasn't for my brother's stupidity, op fruit shouldn't belong to Luo. Although these are secrets, Ye Chen will know. Doflamingo is not surprised either. Because Ye Chen has told him many secrets that are almost impossible for others to know. As the immortal, Ye Chen knew the secret, beyond his imagination. Get ready, let's go to Chambord Islands. Ye Chen said faintly. It just so happens that I take a look at the strength of this generation of supernova, and I have not seen many op fruit capable people. Heard this. Doflamingo was shocked. He could almost see the sensation caused by Ye Chen's appearance in the Chambord Islands. Just think of these. Doflamingo is very excited. Yes, Lord Ye Chen, I will make arrangements now. Chapter 123. The Chambord Islands are located near the headquarters of Marine, and there is the world's largest mangrove, Alki mangrove. Because the roots of the tree are always exposed on the water, the Chambord Islands are formed. The whole island is composed of 79 trees, all with numbers. Each tree has towns and facilities. People call these 79 islands the Chambord Islands. The regional division of Chambordian Islands is also very clear, based on the number on the tree. Numbers 1 to 29 are illegal areas such as human trafficking shops. Numbers 30 to 39 are amusement parks. Numbers 40 to 49 are sightseeing areas, selling local products. Number 50 to 59 are shipyards with coating artisans. Numbers 60 to 69 are the entry and exit areas of marine and the government. 70 to 79 are in Hotel Street and other places. The biggest feature of the Chambordian Islands is that the roots of the Archie mangroves secrete a special natural resin due to respiration. The resin expands with air to form bubbles and then fly into the sky. Since the bubbles are only suitable for the climate of the Alki mangrove, once the bubbles are out of the climate of the Chambord Islands, the resin component will be blown up due to the inability to fully exert its power. Bubble cars, bubble Ferris wheels, houses built on bubbles. Bubble culture permeates every part of Chambord Island. As it is the only way to New World, so many pirates, merchants and bounty hunters gathered here. At this time, in a certain area of the Chambord Islands. On the street, a girl with green hair introduced to the people around her. Chambord Islands is a transit station of the Grand Line. There are many places to play here, and you can also buy things from all over the world. As long as you have enough Baileys, even devil fruit can also be purchased through the auction house. But you have to pay attention to one thing, that is, you must not offend the world government, which is the so-called celestial dragons. Because the Chambord Islands are close to the marine headquarters and also under the Holy Land Mary Geois, celestial dragons are often coming down, and you may encounter celestial here at any time dragons. The words came out. The few people next to the girl didn't care. And this person is a member of the protagonist group. Luffy, Sanji, Zoro. It is the third admiral of the protagonist group. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Celestial dragons are terrible. Do we need to be so afraid? Luffy was a little puzzled. He could hear the voice of the girl, extremely cautious, as if saying that celestial dragons must not be offended. If it is offended, disaster will come. Very serious consequences. The green-haired girl looked around and said in a low voice, the nobles of the world cannot be offended. If you offend the nobles of the world, you will be chased by Marine Admiral. As Marine's supreme combat power, Marine Admiral's strength is terrifying. If you are chased by these people, you will not have any chance of surviving. I know you are very strong, but if you compare it to Marine Admiral, there is still a gap. She was really worried that these people came to the head, just like the one a few months ago, directly working on celestial dragons. The one who can avoid the pursuit of the world government is because the strength is not afraid of Marine Admiral, but Luffy and the others. There is still a gap in strength. Heard these words. Everyone in Luffy was a little surprised. I didn't expect that the world's aristocratic status is so noble, even Marine Admiral would send out to hunt down. It's just that they still don't take it seriously. Although they have seen Marine Admiral, they haven't experienced the power of Marine Admiral. In their opinion, Marine Admiral is not as strong as the rumors. Zero find flowers zero. But seeing the girl said so cherished. They all nodded. They all say they won't provoke the nobles of the world. Upon seeing this, the girl breathed a sigh of relief, and said with a smile, however, during this time, the world's nobles should not be in the Chambord Islands. You can rest assured to play here for a while. When the coating is complete, you can leave the Chambord Islands and head to New World. Why? Luffy asked puzzledly. That's because celestial dragons were killed in Chambord a few months ago. After that, celestial dragons basically didn't come to Chambord. Dot 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 dot. The girl lowered her voice and whispered. Is there anyone who dares to kill celestial dragons? Isn't it something that the nobles of the world cannot provoke? Who is so courageous? Sanji Shi said in surprise. To provoke celestial dragons is to attract Marine Admiral. Normally, no one will provoke it, right? Ye Chen, the captain of the Black Crow Pirates, I think you should also know that it was this one who killed celestial dragons in the first place. The girl whispered. After the death of celestial dragons, it caused a lot of turmoil. Marine sent a number of top combat powers over, but in the end they had no choice but to win them. Ye Chen finally left. Single quote. After that, Ye Chen defeated Kaido in the New World and became the 5th Sea Emperor. After that, the world government seemed to stop chasing the Black Crow Pirates, and celestial dragons did not dare to be in the Chambord Islands. Appearing, it seems that Ye Chen is eyeing them. Having said this, the girl sighed and said, that is, Lord Ye Chen dares to do this. If you change to someone else, you will have to flee when you see celestial dragons. Single quote. Heard this. The faces of Luffy's people changed a little. Force. Chapter 124. Ye Chen killed celestial dragons. Zoro frowned, looking at the girl and asking in a low voice. Although they don't care about celestial dragons very much, they also know that celestial dragons are very distinguished. It is forgivable to say that celestial dragons are beaten, but if celestial dragons are killed, they will follow the way of world government. Will be madly chased and killed. Killed. The green-haired girl nodded and said, just a few months ago, it seemed that a certain celestial dragons wanted Lord Ye Chen to kneel down, and then aroused the anger of Lord Ye Chen and directly killed the celestial dragons. It caused a lot of shock. Marine has dispatched a lot of top combat power, but there is no other way, Ye Chen. But this can only be done by Ye Chen adults. If the others are estimated to have been chased and killed by Marine or the world government long ago, if you see celestial dragons, it is best not to do anything to them, or even refute them. 9-0. Otherwise it will be very troublesome. The green-haired girl once exhorted. She was really worried that Luffy and the others happened to meet celestial dragons, and then caused a conflict, beat celestial dragons, and even killed celestial dragons. That would be troublesome. Although Ye Chen can ignore the world government, that's because Ye Chen is extremely powerful, as the youngest Sea Emperor. The strength is unfathomable. The world government is helpless. But Luffy and the others are not good. Although their strength is good, they are still far from Marine Admiral. Seeing the girl's instructions, Luffy nodded and agreed without saying much. Only. The three looked at each other. The eyes gleamed with strange light. They have always wanted to surpass Ye Chen and defeat Ye Chen only after the incident in Alabaston. It's just that they didn't expect Ye Chen to be so courageous. Even celestial dragons dare to do it. At this time, the Chambord Islands are extremely lively. Because of the arrival of the supernova, the atmosphere of the Chambord Islands is different from before, and the personnel guarded by Marine are much more compared. Even, the atmosphere in the lawless areas is completely different. The emergence of many supernovae such as Luffy, Luo, Kid, etc., has attracted the attention of many people. At the same time, on a pier, a pirate ship slowly stopped on the edge of the pier, and the waving flag painted with skeletons and crows. The banner of the Black Crow Pirates. As soon as this ship appeared, it immediately attracted the attention of many people on the dock. Bounty Hunter. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. Pirates. People from many professions such as Marine couldn't help but change their faces when they saw this flag. Why is the Black Crow Pirates here? You must know that the Black Crow Pirates were not suspected of being involved in the Chambord Islands before. And what Ye Chen did to celestial dragons, it is destined that the entire Chambord Islands cannot be suspected of the Black Crow Pirates. Now that the pirate ship of the Black Crow Pirates is appearing in Chambord Islands, does this mean that they are going to settle here? Almost at the same time. The boat ladder slowly lowered, a thin figure slowly walked down, and behind him, two figures stood. One man and one woman. The man wore a pink feather coat and fancy sunglasses with a weird smile on his face. The whole person looked extremely arrogant. As for the woman, she was wearing a blue military uniform, with long blue hair, and she had a great face, and her icy blue eyes carried a deep chill. Tianya Shadaflamingo. The Ice Witch Ace Daisy. As soon as the two appeared, they immediately attracted everyone's attention. Tear. Many people took a breath of air conditioning, revealing their horrified faces. Both of these are cadres of the Black Crow Pirates. It's just that the person in front of them is more attractive than the two. Black Crow Ye Chen. There was a pirate with a height of 4 or 5 meters. His body was burly, like a hill, with a terrifying figure, but when he saw the person in front of a Seeds and Doflamingo, he was so scared that he almost fainted and his body was violent. The shaking fell into a state of extreme panic. Black Crow Ye Chen. Although the voice fell, the surroundings fell into silence for an instant, no one dared to speak, and even the people who were still moving things stopped one after another, looking at the ship with a panic expression. As if seeing a monster, his eyes were full of panic. Why did Ye Chen appear here? Is he planning to do something on the Chambord Islands? Damn it, if Ye Chen really does it, the entire Chambord Islands may be destroyed, and this time there is Lord Celestial Dragons in the Chambord Islands. No, this news must be reported. 0. On the edge of the pier, a marine looked at the figure in the distance and said in his heart. Ye Chen suddenly appeared in the Chambord Islands. It made him think more. He wanted to know why Ye Chen came here. This is not a place that satisfies New World, and he intends to take the Chambord Islands as his own. Still have other plans for the Chambord Islands? Or is it just to visit the Chambord Islands? Right now, they don't even know the purpose of Ye Chen's visit to Chambord Islands. If it is for fun, it is obviously the best. Because no one wants to go to war in the Chambord Islands. This will have a great impact. Moreover, the destruction of the Chambord Islands is a huge blow to the world government. The Chambord Islands have provided them with a lot of wealth by virtue of their geographic superiority. If the Chambord Islands are gone, this means that they have lost a steady stream of treasury. Cuckoo, Lord Ye Chen, these people seem to be very nervous. Doflamingo stepped forward, looked at everyone around him, and smiled triumphantly. Ye Chen's reputation is still too terrifying. As soon as he appeared, everyone here shut up and looked at them in fear. This is the fear for them. Also shocked by their prestige. There is no need for the so-called Conqueror's Haki, standing there alone is enough to have the power to deter everything. It's normal for Doflamingo to be nervous. Ye Chen said lightly, but you don't scare them. It's Ye Chen. Afterwards, Ye Chen looked around and saw a marine in the distance. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He said faintly, "Marine over there, tell Sengoku them that we are just visiting the Chambord Islands this time, and have no plans. Whatever you do, you don't need to be so nervous. And tell those people, let celestial dragons leave the Chambord Islands, or I will run into them, don't blame me if you die." The words came out. Everyone was shocked, and their hearts were extremely shocked. Ye Chen, this is a direct threat to celestial dragons. P.S. Ask for Flowers evaluation votes. The recent update is really not good, because there has been something recently. There is no way to guarantee the update. Now the matter has been resolved, and the normal update is resumed. Let's see if it can be updated for the time being. If it can be stabilized, then resume to the previous 8 changes. Chapter 125. He watched Ye Chen and others leave. The people on the pier were relieved, and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Ye Chen and others are here, although they don't use any abilities. But it also brings tremendous pressure to them, as if they are carrying a mountain behind them, and even their own lives are not in their own control. As if those few people wanted to kill them, just in one thought. As Ye Chen's remark threatening celestial dragons. Is it possible that he really intends to do something against celestial dragons? Someone said in horror. Ye Chen had to make them think deeply about the words that Ye Chen left behind. Let celestial dragons not be in the Chambord Islands. If they are hit, they don't know their life or death. Doesn't this mean that Ye Chen plans to do something with celestial dragons? If it's someone else, they don't believe it 100%. Because of the majesty of the world government for many years, no one really dares to say that they want to do something against celestial dragons. 09. Even the former emperor of the sea may not dare to say that. Even the most terrifying criminal now, the leader of the revolutionary army, Long, may not dare to say. Because once you start with celestial dragons, it will cause some unnecessary conflicts. This is definitely news that shocked the world. But Ye Chen is different. Because Ye Chen has Shionk, as someone who has killed celestial dragons, others dare not do anything with celestial dragons. Ye Chen is really not necessarily. And now the Black Crow pirates are so strong, and the BIGMOM pirates who were the emperor of the sea have all succumbed. Is there anything they dare not do? At this time. After hearing these words, the marine on the pier changed his face and hurriedly left the pier. He is going to report Ye Chen's news. At the same time. There were still vigorous discussions on the dock. If Ye Chen really dared to kill celestial dragons, it's just that he is now revealing his whereabouts. Doesn't this give the world government a chance to do it? Ulquiorra and Galio seem to have not come over. This is hard to say. Since Ye Chen dares to come over, he must have his own self-confidence. Maybe he is not afraid that the world government will do anything to him, and Ulquiorra and Galio have not appeared. It does not mean that they are really not here. That's true, but what exactly does Ye Chen do when he comes to Chambord? Is it true that he intends to play? How is this possible? It must have other purposes for Ye Chen to come here in person. The Chambord Islands are going to be lively, the supernova, the emergence of Ye Chen, maybe Marine Admiral will come over at that time. Everyone sighed. Read more at hotmtlnovel.zi. They can almost see the Chambord Islands soon after. At that time, the Chambord Islands were bound to be very lively. Known as the worst generation of supernovae, they are all gathered in the Chambord Islands. At the same time, there is also the presence of the Sea Emperor Ye Chen, in addition to Marine Admiral, and even some core powerhouses in the world government. These people have gathered in the Chambord Islands. It's so exciting to think about it. These gatherings in the Chambord Islands will inevitably cause some turbulence, as to what consequences it will cause. They don't know either. It may destroy the entire Chambord Islands, or there may be other reasons. Walking down the street. Everyone around them looked at Ye Chen and others with the same eyes, full of fear and panic. Their eyes did not dare to look at them, and even many people trembled all over, looking half deadly frightened. Ye Chen and others have become accustomed to these gazes, almost as if they hadn't seen them. At this time, Doflamingo hung up the phone worm and said to Ye Chen, Master Ye Chen, Luo's whereabouts have been found, now in an auction house in an area. Quote. Then go. Ye Chen said lightly. I also want to see if this generation of op fruit abilities has the potential to reach the level of awakening. This time came to Chambord Islands. In addition to Ye Chen's thoughts about taking a look, the most important thing is Luo himself. As one of op fruit ability, Luo's talent is very strong, and sooner or later he can become a top combat power. At the same time, immortality surgery is indeed a place that attracts Ye Chen. As for the contradiction between Luo and Doflamingo, Ye Chen doesn't care very much. As long as he is still there, the contradiction between the two will be covered up. Almost at the same time. At Marine headquarters, after Sengoku received the news that Ye Chen and others had appeared in the Chambord Islands, he was immediately shocked. What does this guy want to do when he appears in Chambord now? Sengoku rubbed his temples with a headache. He hardly wanted to hear about Ye Chen. Because once Ye Chen has news, basically it is not a good thing. And this time Ye Chen explicitly threatened them, telling them not to let celestial dragons appear on the Chambord Islands. This is a naked threat. Celestial dragons. Celestial dragons has been pampered for so many years, where has there been such humiliation? Someone dared to threaten them. To this, Sengoku felt a headache. He could almost predict that celestial dragons would be furious after learning about these things. Maybe they lose their sanity directly and let the world government act on Ye Chen. Just because of Ace, Sengoku does not want to fight Ye Chen for the time being. After all, they still have to face the Whitebeard pirates. If they fight Ye Chen now, they will face the Whitebeard pirates for a while. It will be very difficult. It's just this matter, he must tell celestial dragons. Because now there are celestial dragons in Chambord Islands. If these celestial dragons are encountered by Ye Chen, they might actually be killed by Ye Chen. After all, Ye Chen has a school. Thought for a moment, Sengoku directly contacted 5 elders. On the celestial dragon's side, they are eligible to contact, but now that Ye Chen appears in the Chambord Islands, he still thinks it is better to contact 5 elders. After all, 5 elders is still in charge.